Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.
Shalom, everybody. How is everybody doing out there today? How is everybody doing out there? Sorry I came on so late. We got a lot going on in the background. So, it took me a little bit more time, and I'm just coming straight out the garden. From getting my hands dirty. You know what I mean? So straight out the garden, straight on the show, to do the work. And that's all we do is work. So it's good to see everybody out there today. Hopefully everybody is doing blessed beautifully before this beautiful Passover. Peace and blessings to everyone out there. We did say we were going to come on tonight and talk about some things when it comes to, things that people are always asking about that we don't go into a lot because, it seems that people want to go into the deep stuff. But I'm going to say this. I know we see the signs of the time of what's going on right now. How you doing, Sister Amaya? I know we see the signs of the time and things that's going on right now. We see Second Ezra's coming true. We see Jeremiah 51, and it's not the end of it all, but it's the start of something for the prophetic future. And so I said, last week that I would come on this week to speak about and to give you some examples on how you can properly prepare for these times. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Amia. Well, I don't know if that's abbreviated name at Amia U second 4D. I don't know. I apologize. I can't really tell who's male and female on here by the names and the abbreviations. Forgive me about that. All praises, my brother. Shalom to you and your family. But like I said, we said we're going to come on here talking about no dig and no till. One method outside of one of the other methods that our forefathers would use when it comes to tilling the dirt. Okay. If you can remember one of my old lessons when I was talking about Adam being in the Garden of Eden, how he just had to upkeep it. If you've ever had a garden or a food forest, all you have to do is trim it, and chop. It's like something that's called chop and drop. And it feeds the soil indirectly just from the chop and drop. It brings forth beautiful microorganisms, arthropods, and beautiful fungi and bacteria that it just helps sustain the food and things grow from themselves. You know what I mean? Sometimes, when the fruit trees drop in their seeds or old fruit, new things just grow up, no different than it does in a forest. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Did we till back then? Yes, we definitely tilled. We used to have oxen that we would till the ground. But that does not mean that just because we did that was the correct way. Like I said, before dealing with Adam, the Most High had more blessings and we didn't have to go that route. We had to work harder to try to get to be fruitful on earth after Adam and Eve left that garden. So as we go forward back into, as we're getting closer to the end, I shall say, where knowledge is increasing, people are realizing that the earth has been robbed of all of their minerals, nutrients. I mean, and the food is just so empty. And we really are learning, not just us, the Gentiles are learning, like, hey, man, we've been doing it all wrong, and we really need to go back to the basics. Now, you can still till the ground and still plant cover crops and mow them down or chop and drop them back into the soil. That way, over winter you plant your cover crops, nitrogen cover crops, and cut them down, and they will still make the soil nutritious. But I'm going to tell you, it's nothing like no-till, because the more the more you don't till, the better the earth becomes. And we went over things like this before. Am I saying that's the only way? Of course not. That's not the only way. But that's just one of the ways we're talking about today, because I think that people understand to a certain degree how to make rows and things like that, and mound up rows, and you understand where you got your irrigation lines going through. There's nothing wrong with that at all. If you got machinery or you don't have machinery, it's some hard work. It's some hard work. Whether you have an oxen going through or not, it's some hard work. But I'm just want to introduce something today, because some people don't know about no-till gardening. Some people don't know that they don't have to kill themselves. I mean, you're going to work hard either way, but you don't have to overkill yourself if you don't have certain machinery. There's many ways to do things, and I'm going to show you tonight that people have already done them. I have already done it. I actually used to garden in Europe, where there were rows and rows and rows upon, just like the standard farming. And I actually, because of my studies, hey, he was successful at what he did on his own farm. He was. And obviously it takes time to, when you have a plant, whether it's a fruit tree or a vegetable in the soil, if that soil has grown to be good soil over time, regardless if you're tilling or not, I mean, those fruit trees are going to grow. Those things are going to grow. It's all about the soil, just like our gut. It's all about our gut, but it takes time to heal the gut. It takes time to heal the soil. But I even took it further by, I saw a wood chip pile, and I asked the company, I said, hey, can I borrow some of these wood chips? And they're like, oh man, just take the wood chips. So what I did is I loaded them up in the back of my brother's truck. Okay. And he didn't have a work truck. I just put them in, big old bins as much as I could. And I didn't just get, and I'm going to show you some videos on this stuff from Paul Gauchi and other people. It's many different ways. So I put him in the back of his truck, and then I would take him to where I had my rows of kale. I would cover the rows with this, I don't know if you want to call it compost, but you can call it compost, because obviously the wood chips are decomposing, but it's so much bacteria and fungi networks inside of that when you put that on your rows, not only do you have the normal standard rows, but now you're creating a whole new ecosystem for that soil. Okay, you're bringing in new fungus to that soil. You have so many different types of garden. There's not one way to do it. But tonight we're just going to talk about the no-till method. And we do have other experts who do both. Okay, I'm not here to say one is better than the other one, but I really do enjoy, if you have the patience and you have the time to create a no-till gardening zone. I mean, man, listen, especially in the times where we're going through now, even if you guys don't need to garden right now and don't plan to, you can find a space where you put a tarp down, where you cover it or burn it. But when I say burn, you got to be really careful. People start fires when they don't know what they're doing with these old torches. You got to be really careful. So you can just lay a tarp down in fall time and through the winter. And you can prepare that ground, or this is another thing outside of a tarp. You can mow it down, cover it with inches and inches and inches of free wood chips, mulch. Okay. And let me tell you, sometimes this stuff may take a few years to really, really give you what you want back. You can get soil. Sometimes I get piles and trucks of soil coming on my land. And if you plant right into that soil, you look at it and say, why are my plants at a standstill? Why are they not growing? Because sometimes that soil is either still hot or it have not became cohesive with your normal soil that you have. If you haven't tilled it in together and mixed it, it takes time for that soil to adapt to the new environment. Okay, so that's just how this works. So we have to talk about these things because food is what's going to sustain us in the times to come. Food is going to sustain us in these times to come. And you know, learning what you're good at, learning what you should grow in your area, learning what does not grow in your area. I was out there working on a new greenhouse or whatever the case may be, because as you know, around this time, around the Passover time, a few years ago, I had my greenhouse was tore down by the crazy hailstorm that came. And then, you know, the tornado came right around the same Passover time. I don't know what it is before Passover. We just have these tests and things like this, but it's okay. So I'm building it again, and I'm building it stronger. And that's what we have to do. We have to keep adapting, enduring, getting stronger. And right now is a great time to endure because we see what's going on. You remember the old song, Bombs Over Baghdad? I know you guys remember that song. The old song, Bombs Over Baghdad, man. Right? That's what's going on right now. And it's not the time to be nervous. It's not the time to be nervous. This is a great time to live. I'm going to tell you guys, I was so motivated when I went to the Sabbath last week, and I really couldn't wait to hit those streets to street preach or whatever the case may be. So I have one of my deacons who's over the street preaching ministry. That's his job. And I said, well, where are we going today? And so it was a place where I used to have to walk to work out of high school. I mean, I used to drive too, but I mean, one time my car broke down, so I used to have to drive. And then the church we went from it's like right on the same street. And I was like, boy, you can't make this stuff up. I used to grow up around here. And then all of a sudden, you know, we were street preaching in this area that I grew up in. And the beautiful part around this time that if you can take the gospel and use it very wisely, you're going to get some good things out of it. Okay. You're going to get some good things out of it. Here it is. And I like to say, I like to have my mind focus on what I do so that I can do things very well. I don't like to be an underachiever at what I do. I'm really not thinking about anybody else when I'm doing things. So I like to have in my mind to motivate me, to encourage me that, you know, and guess what? You win some, you lose some. But I like when I get on those streets, I'm going to crack the concrete. All right. And, you know, it's no different than like when I used to get in the gym. You just focus. You don't let your mind tell you that you can't do anything. You don't let your mind tell you that you're not going to, not going to achieve. So when I get out there, just like in the scriptures, Christ said, hey, according to your faith is what it's going to be. According to your faith is what it's going to be. So I'm not, listen, when I get on the mic, I'm like, listen, I'm not going to go fishing just to be chilling out there to say I went fishing and I'm coming home with no fish. Now, the gospel is even harder in the spiritual world because sometimes you can go street preaching and you don't even get like any souls. But the scriptures tell us to prophesy to the wind. It's a spiritual thing. For those who have ears, let them hear. You can't just go to one body of water. You might go to one lake. You don't catch no fish there. You got to go to other lakes. Go where you know, because Christ sometimes will preach in his own hometown, and Christ still wasn't able to get sometimes people to wake up to the doctrine, even in his own hometown. So you can't just stay there hoping that somebody's going to wake up one day, go to another lake. So spiritually, you have to pick different spots. Now, this spot that we picked was a lot of Gentiles. And it was a lot of, and when I say Gentiles, Asians, Africans, Middle Eastern people, even our own people. This was a perfect block. And I said, man, this block is nice. And we're going to get back to why I'm saying it. But because we're in these times where famines and things like that are coming upon us. We're in these beautiful end times where our kingdom is coming, and all we have to do is tighten up and get ready. And it's not going to be something easy. It's not going to also feel good. It's not going to also feel good as well. The kingdom, it don't come by observation. It's not going to be some feel good, comfy thing. We're going to have to pull together, stay strong, fight through, and give it our all to make it through it. So we go out there, and like I said, I'm like, listen, I'm about to hit these streets today. We're going spiritual fishing. And right now things are very hot. Iran is doing what they're doing. America's doing what they're doing, and we don't take some political sides in this race. We only take the side of Christ. And guess what? We are going in, doing what Christ told us to do, going to the Jew first and also to the Gentile. But after the Tucker Carlson, interview on his show that Elder put out, man, I'm seeing that the Gentiles and the Edomites, man, they're just I think some of them are also excited in some ways too, because finally they feel like, okay, it's probably time for us to come out and start saying some things, because we know what's going on, but we have to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. So with all of these things going on right now, it's like, okay, the fish are jumping out of the water. Let's go throw a rod in the water. We may get a bite even with no bait. Let me tell you, right now was a special time. You may look at the winds and the storms coming, of the four winds getting ready to bring in spring, and I'm speaking spiritually. But guess what? Those fishes are jumping, and you just got to go to that good spot. You're right. And hey, and you might get some bites. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. On many levels, this thing is true. So I'm out there speaking, and I see these Gentiles out there. I'm seeing some of them giving us crazy looks. People trying to put us on camera on the cell phones. I'm talking about Muslims and all that. Right? But we got our camera making sure everything is a witness to see what's going on. But nobody, it's all good. And I see this gentleman in the truck. I see an Edomite. And you can tell it's a whole different zone going on right now. That Edom is listening right now, too. I'm going to tell you. And I'm talking about the good Edom. We're not talking about the evil elite. They're going to do what they're going to do. Okay? And so when you're speaking, it's like, okay, the Holy Spirit told me, boom, shift here, say this, say this. Before you know it, pulling in the parking lot, and he's like, I got one of my one of my officers speaking to him, and he's like, man, I thought you guys were going to tell me to kiss your boots. Of course not. That's not who we are. That's not who we are. So sometimes you're street preaching, you have to let them know you're not racist, and that any and all nations can receive, you understand, and get into the kingdom of heaven with the children of Israel. And if you do it right and you preach this gospel right, let me tell you, hey, Christ is going to bring you the increase. Christ is going to bring you the increase, because these people know in their spirit, like, man, let me just try it. Let me see. Let me see. I know these people are the true Jews, but I don't want to go up to them if they're going to attack me or whatever the case may be. So he sat there talking for about 30, 45 minutes. And I prayed to the Most High that if anything, at least a seed was sown. And hey, even more than that, if the brother wants to come and visit, it will be a blessing. Now, it's powerful, because this is what some things that Christ was saying. Sometimes that the Gentiles have more faith in Christ and our people than our own. So we really don't want to take advantage of what the Most High have blessed us with to be living in these times to see the things that we're seeing. Man, it is so beautiful. It's not scary to me. Personally, it's not scary to me. I was living overseas. The situation, obviously, of the unknown is scary because you don't know what's going to happen. But you just have to be like Christ on the boat when the storms are coming and they're watching Christ on the boat, and he's just chilling, and they're wondering, why is he just chilling and relaxing? Why is he not in uproar? Why is he not like going crazy? And we have to take from these, from these stories and in these examples a lot of things, guys. Okay, so let us go into really quick before we go into the garden thing. I want to speak about this famine a little bit in Lamentations chapter 4. The punishment of Zion accomplished. Okay, so people are looking for truth. People are looking for truth right now. Okay, people are looking for their kind right now, like-minded. Okay, people. And we ought to be glad and thankful that we have somebody teaching us how to endure to the end. Okay, because the world doesn't care. The world is not going to know how to endure to the end. They're going to pillage. They're going to rob. They're going to rape. They're going to take, because the only thing they know how to do is from their own heart, their own mind, because they don't have the principles and the foundations of Christ. A man shall be made as fine gold in this time. As fine gold. Okay. He or she is called out rough, filthy, dirty, unclean, imperfect, going through the fire only to come out like shiny, pure gold. These are the beautiful times we're in. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff out there, I'm not going to lie, of our sisters dancing and twerking. And they were in the American Army, saying, that, that all types of nonsense about Iran, and they don't know the severity of what they're saying. Like, hey, you're laughing and joking right now, but it's not going to always go the way that you think. Yes, Judah 12, Elder Dale. Yes, you said Isaiah 13. Is that what you're talking about? It's not going to go the way that our brothers and sisters think in these armies. Right now, okay, we can see what's going on right now, but hey, if you understand what's going on prophetically, you understand that, hey, Iran is going to have their turn too. And right now, it already looks like a lot that's going on. It's man, I'm reading straight second Ezra. It's missiles and like what it said in second Ezra, stars flying all over the place. So our sisters think it's just a game and a joke. But let me tell you, that's because America have never received war here. But over there, war is just another day. They just talk about it like it's just another day. Right? So we have to prepare the people the best we can, knowing that over there, people can survive off of one US dollar when I was there. They get them some little bread and some beans, and they're going to make it. They got bread, beans, some vegetables, some fish when they can get it, and they're going to make it through. You know what I mean? And for some people that's over here, I mean, I know our people know how to survive, but the whole deal is when things run out, when shipments are not coming in, when freight is not coming in and all of that, it's a whole different story. When things are getting totally expensive, when artificial intelligence after this war calms down, because it will calm down and it will get back big again. We're in the window right now. We're in the season right now before the big situation. Okay, but this is a big sign. This is a big sign of the time where it's like, okay, nothing matters about all of this vanity anymore. Where do we go from here? Okay, so let's just get a little history okay, on similar things that happened in 70 AD, just really quick. And how can we relate it to these times? How will we be able to make it and survive through these times? Okay. I hear somebody saying Mr. Julian Davis better stock right now up on rice, canned goods. Yeah, definitely. The things that we've been telling people for years. Let's not get caught up in vanity. Let's focus on what Christ told us, like our forefather Joseph did. And so I'm hearing a lot of it now, but a lot of people were already doing it and should have certain things stored. And I think Elder said, hey, you got to cycle some of these things out from time to time as well. Now, one thing I love about the wheat, of why I came on to tell you guys about the wheat, is because the wheat stores indefinitely. Corn stores indefinitely. And when you put that thing in the oven, you're getting pretty much most of all your nutrients except for 4. So, hey, hit that Azure standards up. That's one of the cheapest places. Hit that Azure standards up. Don't be afraid. You can either pay the money to just get it shipped to your house. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, or you get it shipped like everybody else to the little spot. Now you have to get out and help to, put people's packages where their name is, but it's okay. You save more money that way. I do it that way because you just save more money that way. And the wheat and the corn stores indefinitely if you store it correctly, like in 5-gallon buckets, 50-gallon drums. Okay. And you have to see who's who. Like Elder said, in these times, I think he did that on the Sabbath lesson when he was in on the East Coast. And you can't put out everything that you're storing and what you have. You do that for you and your family, because the love of many in this day shall wax cold. Okay? Because resources are going to dry up. All right? And you can plant wheat. You can plant corn. So we're going to show you how there's people on here planting corn and things like that. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. If you're only finna plant like 6 corn, now if you're doing that for practice, that's one thing. But it's like, okay, well, we don't have that much land. So what we can do is we can know somebody who does have a lot more land, and we can say, hey, we'll come over there and help you guys plant this. And then we'll trade with this. I have this and you have this. But I know how hard it is to plant this stuff. So I'll come over there and help, being that it's labor intensive. And hey, we'll work together like that. And these are the things that we have to think about doing. All right? Because when you eat something that's so nutritious like the wheat, you really, I'm going to tell you, if it gets real, you can eat 1 piece of bread a day and survive. That's how, let me tell you. One, you're going to lose a lot of weight, so you're not going to be dealing with no gut. And then you're getting total nutrition. You're getting total fiber. And if you save you some, and if you got a sourdough starter, all you need is water and your sourdough. Now, obviously, you got to feed your sourdough and things like that. And you got to have you a little, you got to have, your oven to bake it, but you don't need any baking powder. All you need is water, and you need you some sourdough. If you don't have sourdough, okay, cool. You can make your little baking powder. If you don't know how to make baking powder, store up some baking powder. Get you a little oil, get you a little butter, or whatever the case may be. Make it happen. If you have a little small plot of land, hey, if you feel like starting to learn how to take care of sheep or goats, they're small livestock. They don't need too much space. Chickens. These are things we have talked about. This is not some new information that we're bringing out. Okay. So just putting that out there before we start here. Okay. Keeping yourselves in shape in case you have to run, in case you don't have a vehicle. These things are important. Even though I was gardening all day long, I said, no, I'm going to stay disciplined. I got on that pull-up bar. I hit me 100 pull-ups. I said, I hit 50, and then I rested. I hit me 50 dips, and then I hit me 50 push-ups, and I got back. I hit me 50 pull-ups again, right? And then I hit me 50 dips and 50 push-ups. And my little kids, they already used to it. They like, okay, let me get mines in. Even though we worked hard all day, let's still stay disciplined. Let's still stay strong in these times, never knowing if we're going to need to protect ourselves or run or whatever the case may be. And then that keeps yourself healthy. It keeps your mind from stress, keeps your mind on discipline. Yes, I'm going to let people call in tonight. Mr. I definitely am. I definitely am. I decided that I would tonight. Okay. Now we're going to call in specifically on the topic, though. We don't want to be all over the place, so we do want to stay on the topic at hand. Okay, but I'm definitely going to open up the lines. So let's go to Lamentations really quick. The punishment of Zion accomplished. How is gold become dim? How is the most fine gold changed? How is Israel changed? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street. The precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold, how they are esteemed as earthen pitchers. The work of the hands of the potter, talking about the Most High. Even the sea monsters draw out the breast. They give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people has become cruel. Meaning, hey, even the sea monsters will take care of their own children. We have become cruel, forgetting about our children, the people who we love. What have happened to us? What have happened to the love? How have we grown to have so much hate for one another? It's talking about this is a time that we went through as a people. And it's going to be just like the days of Noah already, as we see. Got me a little protein here. I've been working all day. I needed that little protein here. Yeah, check it out. Let's read that again. It says, even the sea monsters draw out the breast and feed their own. They give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people has become cruel. Our own sisters are out there worrying about how good they look. And they don't care about bearing children, getting married, right? Having a husband. It's all about these curses and the deception that the enemy have brought upon us. We need each other to make it through these times. What a man doesn't know, the woman knows. What the woman don't know, the man know. Right? We got this is deep how it says that our own women have forgot about their little ones. We've seen this time already starting here. We've seen it now. I seen a video today and a young brother said he's tired of paying for abortions. Man, that hurt. When I heard that, I said, man, what do you mean? You just fornicating with women and you're talking about you're tired of paying for abortions, brother. Why don't you repent and get you a wife? Now, obviously, he wouldn't know to repent, but man, the daughter of my people has become cruel like ostriches in the wilderness. The ostrich, she will forget about her own baby. Sometimes even these animals, these beasts, their babies grow up a little bit and they leave them. We're not animals. We're the children of Israel. Okay? The tongue of the suckling child cleaveth to the roof of his mouth for the thirst. The young child acts bread and no man breaketh it unto him. So check it out. The tongue of the suckling child cleaveth to the roof of his mouth first. Right? Because he's hungry. The young children ask bread and no man break it unto them. It's a cold world now. It was in that time. And it's the same thing now. They that feed delicately are desolate in the streets. They that were brought up in scarlet embrace dunghills. So the people who once were amazing compared to jewels, compared to beautiful relics and dishwares and earthen pots, just beautiful stones, gold. They had fallen back then. And the same thing is getting ready to happen again. We're getting ready to go through the same thing again. What is it called? It's called Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble. For the punishment of the iniquity of the daughter of my people is greater than the punishment of the sin of Sodom. We have become more worse than Sodom. Why? Because the children of Israel, when we do something, we become the best at it. Even if it becomes sin, we can join somebody else's religion and then we become better than them at their own religion. That's just who we are. Anything the Most High have given us is programmed in our minds to be the best and to be great at it if we use that. Now, I'm not saying the whole nation, because some people just decide to be lazy. But a majority of our people are blessed with a gift that we have to just step into it, and the Most High will bless it. Right? So let me tell you, it says here, we embrace now the dunghills. We embrace things that are vanity, things that don't mean anything. Talking about, I'm tired of paying for abortions. We embrace crap. That's what it's called modern day. It's called crap. And we have to pray for our people to come back to the Most High God before it's too late. I'm seeing Gentiles coming to the truth. Well, what about our people? Our people are coming in and thinking that we owe them something. The Gentiles are coming in saying, hey, how can we help? How can we build? What can we do? What do you need us to do? Right? So let's go down here. So he says the punishment is greater than the sin of Sodom. Wow. That was an overthrow as in a moment. So what's going to happen to us if we have surpassed Sodom? And no hands stayed on her. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. Do you see that it says purer than snow? It don't say that they were white. How they try to change the scripture to make it seem like our people were white. No, it's going to be specific of what it's talking about. When you hear the scriptures talking about white, it's talking about purity, because white, just like when we bring sacrifices with no blemishes. His Nazarites, people who would take a vow to not drink wine and things like that. They were pure to the Most High. They were whiter than snow. You can't take this and say that their skin was white, because it's going to show you that's not what it's talking about. It's talking about their purity. Just like in this time it says that many shall be made white. Many people are not made white when they're baptized. Their souls are cleansed from their former sins, and they're supposed to start over. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. And that's not talking about, right now, this is not actually talking about just like the color of skin only. It's still talking about dark black people. Just telling you the truth. Okay? How do we know? We're going to show you. Their polishing was of sapphire. When it's talking about the ruddiness, it's just talking about how we shine, how we glisten. We were like gold. So it's describing jewelry, metals, gemstones, earth stones. And so people will take this stuff and think it's just talking about color. It's not just talking about color. I'm going to show you where it's talking about color right here. And even sometimes it says black. You have to know if it's talking about a person's depression, the state of mind at the time, like if a person's going through something, or if it's specifically talking about something. So let's get it here. So when it says they were more ruddy in body than rubies, and their polishing was of sapphire, I mean, their skin shine in that beautiful sun when it hit their skin. You ever seen a dark person in that sun, and they just got that beautiful black skin? It says their visage is blacker than coal. Now we're specifically talking about a face, a visage. Now we're talking about skin. Their visage is blacker than a coal, meaning their skin is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. Okay. Now we're going to something different. It is withered. It is become like a stick. Why? Because of famine. These people used to be so beautiful, it's saying. Now, Their skin is blacker than the coal. They are not known in the streets. Not that black is ugly, but it's become dark and depressed. Their faces is becoming like depressed and down. Like when you start smoking a little weed, tweed, cigarettes. Notice how you drink too much, smoke weed, cigarettes, and all this stuff. You just look like a ghoul. You look different. Okay? So, they are not known in the streets anymore because they are now called the hidden ones. People walk past them. People call them bywords. All right? Their skin cleaved to their bones. They become very skinny. You see people in Africa like this. People in the hood like this trying to make it from day to day. These things were going on back then when the famine came. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. Because you suffer with famine. Why do you think when we come on these shows and we talk about how to plant food, and then these would be the shows that don't get the most numbers? So, hey, it's all good. The whole deal is I pray that people have like photograph memory, and they would have at least been storing and saving the skills and the material and the food for the times to come. Until the Most High gathers us all together to put us where he wants to put us. You can't beg the people to do anything. You can't force them to do anything. These are grown people. Okay? You have some sheep who will be in the pen listening, and some will be like the goats trying to straddle the fence and trying to find an escape. That's why they call it scapegoat, because goats is always trying to escape, which is why even when you have goats and sheep together, that's only temporary. I'm speaking spiritual right now. Y'all don't even understand. When you have sheep and goats, and I've kept them like this, I became a better pastor when I started to keep farm animals. It wasn't just about having them. It was about learning why he always talks about being in the vineyard, being a husbandman, being a shepherd, a physical shepherd with physical sheep and goats and cattle, and then with the people. Sometimes when you first start a farm, until you get the knowledge and understanding, you may want to get all of these farm animals and like, hey, man, we just want to start this thing. It's exciting. We want to start planting all of these things that we're not going to eat. You plant all the things you're not going to eat because you feel good having a garden. And it's so much like Christ said, the harvest is plenteous, but the labors are few. And then, you start planting things. You see all of the caterpillars eating your brassica plants. You're seeing the aphids, the spider mites. You understand? You're seeing the little the runners all over your plants. Right? You're seeing all of these different things. Then you're like, okay, I need to build another pen so I can separate the sheep from the goats. Because the goats, they need copper. The sheep don't need too much copper, because the sheep will get sick. The sheep need like selenium, vitamin E, things like that. They need certain specific things, and the goats need. If the goat don't get copper, then it'll die. Excuse me. So what happens is your sheep will eventually start to get barber pole worm, because they don't really need to deal with and be in the same pen as the goats too long. Or you'll have to keep deworming them too often. They really need to be separate. They can dwell together, but they really need to be separate. You finally separate them after the ones that die off, and you clean all that up. You have to start over with just the ones that you have. But the goats, no matter what, the goats still want to straddle the fence. No matter what you do for a goat, the goats still want to straddle the fence. They still want to find a way out. Okay. So I preferably love the sheep. I love the sheep and I love the cattle, but the goats, man, they always, not that you can't find a good breed every now and then, and you know, you can't train them, but I'm going to tell you right now, this thing, when you understand it, is spiritual and physical. Okay. So let's get back to it. The people's skin have become withered like a stick. They become skinny, famished. They're perishing because of lack of food. 70 AD, anyone, when Christ told us, when you see Jerusalem being compassed with armies, then know that the desolation draw nigh. Okay, that desolation started in Christ's time, and, you know, it never ended. It never ended. It was just a continuation from generation to generation with the Romans. All right. So they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger, because you suffer once again when you're famished. It's like being tortured. Turns you into a different mind state. Your thyroid starts going out. Guys, when you don't have your thyroid on point, you can turn into a zombie-like state. People be looking at you like, you good? You all right? I'm going to tell you right now. So when you ain't getting certain minerals and nutrients, which is why I told you guys, one of the best things that you can store is wheat. You can store beans and rice too. You can add that as an addition. But I'm telling you guys, you might want to listen to these type of shows. You can even go back and listen to some of the old ones, because we be dropping straight knowledge on them. The wheat has pretty much all the vitamins and minerals except for 4. And I always forget the 4 that it has, because I can't remember everything. I know it's iodine, I think a B vitamin, and 2 others. I forget. Vitamin, I can't forget, but I can't remember, but I always forget that part. I'm not going to lie to you. So, but I know my wife takes care of that part. That's why having a good helpmeet is amazing. So, but it stores indefinitely, and when you smell that thing baking, it's always just like a new bread. That's why they call it daily bread. And you don't need as much of it. A little, let me tell you, that can carry you a long way, is all I'm saying. Then you got your corn. You can make you some cornbread. You can make you some corn chips, whatever the case may be. You got you some tomatoes you plant. You can make you some salsa. Hey, barley. There you go. You got barley. Barley is amazing. Barley makes you sleepy, but it is amazing. You can add a little bit in that. And a lot of these things you can help to feed your animals with. Now, if you only have enough store for you, I don't know if I would feed my animals that. I would be feeding them animals grass. Throwing a bunch of seeds in an area where you tossed a bunch of wood chips, letting stuff grow wild, and you can pluck it, let it grow wild, and things like amaranth. Just throwing a bunch of things that have a lot of high nitrogen, clover, right? These things, alfalfa, these things will help feed your animals. You have tree hay as well, like planting things that it's not actual hay, obviously, it's a nickname, but your cattle can eat it. These things grow very fast. Okay, so let's continue here. For these pine away, stricken through for want of fruits of the field. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. Look at that. The people who have lost the faith because they never gained the foundation in Christ. They never listen. People never listen to these survival lessons. People never listen to the lessons on the gospel of Christ that we were trying to preach all this time. Same thing happened back then. I want y'all to listen to what's going on right now, because it happened before. Obviously, the Most High is going to make sure we're good, but it's certain things that he's also watching to see our mind state, to see we just waiting on somebody to do everything for us. Or we going to try to bring forth our faith as well, too. You have people, a lot of people who have land and all of that, guys, in the world. I'm just talking about the truth, and they don't do anything with the land. Land is a blessing. Land is a blessing, guys. I'm telling you. Even if you got to pay somebody, even if you pay, let me tell you something. Even if you invest a little bit and some people who are good gardeners to come out and to garden for you, and you just paying them to do that. Even if they left and things shut down, even if you didn't know what to do, a lot of that stuff will seed itself and grow of itself. Even if it turns wild, and all you got to do is go out there and weed, eat it, and mow it. I see people always doing it around here. They will hire certain people to come and to take care of their garden because they're like, I'm too old to do it. I can't take care of it. Okay, well, listen. If you got you a little money to the side, you pay someone to come and start you a garden and take care of the garden, landscape it, turn it into a garden. Before you know it, guys, not only can you pay them to do the garden, you can now sell some of the things that they have planted. Now you're paying them, but you not only are you just paying them, some of the stuff that is coming out, you can actually sell at a farmer's market, or you can just sell in general. Store it for your family. So we have to think different. I'm talking about for the older folks who, like, you know, may have a little money saved and they're like, you know what? I don't have the energy and the skill set. Not that you shouldn't gain it, but to get out there. Neither do I want to get out there. Okay. So, hey, you can use your resources to do it. Or you can, another thing, you know what you can do, even if you don't have the resources to pay. You have the land. People who want to garden, you allow them to come and garden, and all you do is tell them, hey, you work out the percentage of what they have come and work of what they're going to give you. You've given them the land. They got to give you they have to give you some of the actual harvest, and then they keep some of the harvest. It's a lot of different ways to do things, whether you're old or not. You be like, man, I'm 60, 70 years old. I don't know if I want to get out there and do all that. It's all good. This is a way that you can do it. There's always a way to do something. Okay. Or at the very least, vegetarian. I don't know what you're talking about there. I'm not going to even ask. No meat, animal, no blood. Well, yeah, you can do that too. That's according to the law that you can be a vegan and a vegetarian. I mean, you still got to get out there and garden, and you can't trust everything that these people are selling. You can't trust everything that these people are selling in the stores just because you want to be vegan, because there's a lot of glyphosate and sprays on the actual vegetables too. So I always soak my vegetables in chlorine dioxide, baking soda, vinegar. I always soak them because I've seen some people putting rat poison. I've seen people putting, like, even at the stores where they sell fresh vegetables, different types of additives in this water that they're spraying. And so you have to come home and soak that too. And then a lot of that stuff, you don't know the nutrition of it. So then you're lacking nutrition even though you're eating vegetables. So as long as you make sure you have your nutrition and your minerals and your supplements you have to take, you should be fine. You just have to learn how to master that. But definitely. So it says the hands of pitiful women have sodden or cooked their own children. The pitiful women who thought that they were going to have Instagram forever. Modern day now. Like the sisters in the past, who didn't believe what Christ said, who didn't believe what the prophet said. Oh, this is never going to happen to me. I'm this, I'm that, I'm her, and all of this stuff. The new workout women who, who's on there working out, making a little money, working out. Hey, it's all good. But when that stops, food is going to be the greatest currency. And you're going to be looking at men who you never thought you would date or never thought you would marry. They can get out there and hunt and grow food. They're honorable men. They're godly men. And you're going to be looking at this dude like, man, I should have got me one of these type of men a long time ago. But all you're going to be able to focus on is, hey, you missed that bus and you need some food. So, hey, we got a little time to get it together. But, hey, it ain't too much time. All right. And when sometime when we street preaching, you can see the spirit of some people driving by thinking they're going to always just be doing it big in this vain world. Oh, I don't want to hear that, man. I'm good. I got my own money, this and that. Okay. Hey, the word of the Lord shall not come back slack. It shall not come back void. There you go, Julian Davis. They working out just to get it behind. And the ones that's getting the BBLs, all of a sudden they're taking that stuff, they're taking it down, because I seen somebody on there saying, hey, as you get older, if it's too big or whatever, if you gotten too much added to you, too addition added to you, for the health reasons, you got to take some of that down. Life is all going to come back to humble us all if we don't see where this thing is going when it comes to the principles and the will of the Most High God. Shalom, Elder. May you provide which chlorine dioxide you use to clean your food with. Chlorine dioxide. Just plain old chlorine dioxide. I mean, you can get it from a lot of places. I sell it on my site, but you can get it from a lot of places. Just plain old chlorine dioxide. But if you want to do research on it, you just go to Rumble. Go to rumble.com, okay? So, let's go here. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. They had to eat their own children. When we think, oh, I don't want to hear about some garden lesson. I want to hear about, some deep or some deep in the scriptures, some deep breakdown of the scriptures, until you have no food. The humility comes in when you have no food. You start looking at the people who you used to hate like, it wasn't that bad. You could have been prepping with them. You could have been working with them, bartering with them, guys. While you have people, you don't need to make your family members your enemies and all this stuff. Like, you don't need to make any enemies. You don't need to. The people who you love right now, you don't need them to turn to your enemies later. Think wisely. See where things are going. Okay? Instead of a friend, make not the enemy, the scripture says. And guess what? The friends of mammon, make ye friends of mammon so that you will be without everlasting habitations. So we're still out there preaching. And if our people don't want to listen and Gentiles want to come through, I'm fine with that too. Because I know Gentiles want to come in and they like, listen, man, we got this over here. What you guys doing? What can we do? That's how it was in Christ's time. You got the centurion who had faith. You had these Gentiles who have faith. They're ready to work. They're ready to work, man. They like, listen, how can I make up for my forefather sins? Like, wow. You would think we would be saying that. We coming in like, hey, we coming in like we just deserve everything. You know what I mean? we coming in the truth like, this is our kingdom. We coming back. We deserve everything. It's like, hold up. Let's be in the same mind, like Christ said, to work. Hate not the laborer's work. The Gentiles are coming in wanting to work. Okay? Of why he said is he haven't seen so much faith in his own people. Christ said that himself. Okay, so let us make sure we bring our brick as the example to them. They don't want to come in and work for our kingdom, and then we're not working for our kingdom just because God used them as a whipping belt against us. We're not calling them into the work to blame them. Okay? The Lord had accomplished his fury. He had poured out his fierce anger and had kindled a fire in Zion. And it had devoured the foundations thereof, starting from the elders, starting from the elderly men who are the leaders in the community. Now, when you look outside modern day, the same thing is going on. And I'm not blaming either part from the head or the tail. I'm not blaming either part. But the Most High is like, hey, if I don't see a man out there trying to work hard and be an example to the youth and do better when they see their people struggling and going through it, I'm going to have an issue with that. Now, you can't save and help everybody, but the whole deal is people nowadays think they're born just to try to get rich because we've been through it. No, we're born to do the will of the Most High. If we see our people struggling and just because we've made it, hey, it's nothing wrong with that to a certain degree, but at the same, you got to be a little selfish to make sure you build a foundation for yourself so you can continue to give. But if you just think that, hey, I got my thing stored, I'm born, I'm gonna be good, you don't know if your clock might tick tomorrow. So you also want to make sure that you mentor and you help to give back, not just with taxes. Okay, not just not just a tax write-off. Okay, so, and that's why sometime on this show, like I said, we'll have a little fun. We finally would have been able to have some fun, and I finally was able to do some giveaways. Since I first started the show, I've been saying that I finally was able to do it. And we did get the brother his tennis shoes out there, the brother D'Angelo. I had to call the brother to say, hey, try to get his area leader to say, hey man, what's going on? Where's his brother? I want to send him, what he won. So we have to give back. We have to give back. So he says he's going to start at the foundations. Okay. So the kings of the earth and all the inhabitants of the world would not have believed that the adversary and the enemy should have entered into the gates of Jerusalem. Who would have thought that such a beautiful, perfect people, that God would have allowed the enemy to come through to take them down for their disobedience? The same thing is going on right now. We're in disbelief that God is going to allow, the Most High is going to allow destruction on his people. Well, it's called Jacob's trouble. Only a remnant shall be saved out of it. So we're thinking that war have came. It's going to always be all right. Let me tell you, we are living in a special time right now where God is coming to deliver his people. He's only going to save a remnant. Those who want to listen. So, hey, we blaming everything on everybody else. But right now it's a time to fix ourselves. And guess what? Cling together as one body and one mind. Because the sifting is from Christ's time until the end of this thing. Check it out. For the sins of her prophets and the iniquity of her priests, they that have shed blood of the just in the midst of her. So modern day, you got your politicians, governors, mayors, leaders doing the same thing. These are the taskmasters and the so-called leaders over us. And I'm never saying every single one. I'm never saying that a person who's in that position can't change and come down like Moses did. I'm never saying that. Our church is never saying that. It's always going to be room for who wants to be counted in that number, who wants to wake up, and people who probably never knew this truth. And more, the more right now we need to be an example to wake up the whole world. Right now is a beautiful time. See, let me tell you, right now is not the time to attack each other. Right now is the time, because you never want to become the accuser of the brethren. We always must remember Mary Magdalene, he that is without sin cast the first stone. That's not what we were called. Right now is a beautiful, special time. That everything that we've been talking about for the past 10 plus years, we see it. It's proven. It's undebatable. Our church have been talking about Iran over and over and over. Since our church started, Elder Rawchaa have been talking about Iran, prophesying when people were saying Russia and all this stuff. Hey, right now is not the time to say, I told you so, but it's the time where people are looking for direction. We must be that direction. We must be that peace. Okay? We must be that peace. We must be it, guys. I'm telling you right now, this is why I'm excited. I'm like, hey, let me get me some more works in, some more good works up in this thing. Let me get me some more souls. Who wouldn't want to save a soul? Who would want to see a soul burn? That's what you have to ask yourself. Who would want to see a soul burn? Yes, we have to tell the truth about what's going on in our nation and other nations. But at the same time, who would want to just praise the Most High because some soul is burning? And now we know some people out there do certain crimes and certain evil that, hey, we know what they have to get. No one would deny that they should get that. It's some things that's going on out here. We see with Epstein, all this crazy stuff. Listen, we already know that. That's not what we're talking about. That's a given. But we're talking about people who just, they really want to find the Most High God, whether Jew or Gentile. They're trying to come to the Most High, but we're keeping the door closed because we want to make people kiss our boots, or we want to curse people out, or we want to be hateful, or we want to say, no, it's just for us. Oh, no. Oh, no, we can't be that way. We're going to shut the door. Right now is the time to open the door. Now, I'm not saying that the ark door is not closing, but what I'm talking about is right now, hey, these sheep have realized we were among wolves and we need to go to the good shepherd, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now, it's not that much time, but at the same time, hey, I'm going to tell you right now, it's a special time going on. You can have fear, or you can just prepare and keep doing the work. We're almost there, man. Amazing. Now we have to endure through the end. Okay? When we were there on the other side of the world, they were telling us, we always knew that you guys would come back to this side of the earth. They were saying that when we were there, all over the place. People would come to me. And mind you, I lived in the Middle East for like 8 years. So people would come to me from time to time, older men though, and say, who is your father? And I would say, hey, Africa. Because I'm very smart. So I understand, who I'm dealing with, what I'm dealing with him. So, and I'm like, well, he from Louisiana. That's my daddy. And he's like, no. He said, who is your father? And I would say, okay, we from Israel. And guess what? They would say, yes. Older men have came to me at least 3 times out the 8 years that I have been living in the Middle East, in the African parts. Yeah, in Egypt. Older guys. Let me tell you, they know who we are. Like I told my church on Saturday, I went to the mall. I was talking to a young Lebanese guy in the jewelry shop. And, I was telling him about the jewelry and how when you go overseas, they don't care about diamonds. They threw the diamonds on my ring in the trash, and how I sold one of my rings to get a little money, right? And the whole deal is they gave me what my ring was worth. And guess what? One of my rings was only 10 karat. It's not the best carat. I mean, like 18 to 24 karat is the nice stuff. And they gave me what was worth for my 10 karat ring. I was shocked. I'm like, they gave me what I paid for it. Wow. But I said, okay, can I get a little extra because of these diamonds in there? He said, we're not going to do nothing with this. And I was like, I thought he was joking. They threw them in the trash. They were not fake. So I tested it out again. A few years later, I went to go to the same spot. I had another ring with diamonds in it, and same thing happened. I said, okay, what's going on here? I came to learn through research that custom jewelry, if you buy custom jewelry for whatever price it says on it, and then you try to take it back, it's not worth the same price when you take it back. All they care about is the gold and the silver. That's it, what they can melt down. So I'm telling this little young brother my experience, and I'm like trying to get something from him. And I'm like, listen, this is not worth what you're selling me, brother. I'm like, I can go buy a gold coin that, a silver coin that weighs the same as this what you're trying to give me with this moissanite and these, or the diamonds. I said either one. I said if the diamonds are not worth anything, I said the moissanite or the cubics is definitely not going to be worth anything. That's why I don't buy that stuff anymore, because I've traveled, and when you're trying to trade it in, you're pretty much wasting money. So if you're selling me something with all of this fake, stuff in here, and you want me to pay way more, check it out. It's not going to even be worth that. So I said, listen, if I pay you this price, if I come and take it back or trade it in, is it going to be worth that? He says, no, you're praying for the custom look. I'm like, well, that does not make any sense to me. So I said, you know what, young brother, like 25, I said, I really know what's going on, and your people come over here, and I get the business. And he's like, well, it's just business. I said, you guys come over here, you really wouldn't be making any money if our people wasn't buying it. He said, that's not true. We have white people. But I said, well, listen, those white people who are buying this stylish custom jewelry, they're kind of black too. Not really, but they're acting black. And that's why you're getting those sales, because of my people. You're over here in this mall, and this type of jewelry is only for my people, of why you're selling it this way. Right? And I said, listen, we the real Jews. We know who we are. And I said, you know that, don't you? And guess what he said? He said, yeah, I know that. And I said, well, I'm messing with him. I said, why y'all ain't saying it? He said, well, I'm supposed to tell you the real Jews? Yeah, guys, I'm saying all this to tell you. Right? It's not about the jewelry. It's about these people know everything they're doing. They know who we are. This guy's straight from Lebanon. I said, the real Lebanese are black. And I said, no offense. It's not about white or black. I said, but the real Lebanese during the time of Solomon, they're black people. He said, what? I said, yeah. I said, Alexander the Greek came over there. That's why you got your little Caesar joint popping off. The Caesar curls. Okay. Yeah. The Romans and the Greeks was all in that area. So you got a little mix of both. I said nothing bad about it, but I said, that's what's really popping off here. You know what I mean? But the crazy part about it is he said, yeah, we know who you are. So they know exactly what they're doing. But I didn't get into an argument with him. I was able to leave peacefully. But I'm just showing, like, man, we're in a special time. The Most High is perfectly, with precision, knowing what he's doing and allowing what he will allow, and proving who he will prove, and doing everything. It's all purposed. We just need to do what we need to do to make it through and endure to the end. Very, very important. You think these people walking around here don't know who we are? Let me tell you, when you walking down, they're not going to tell you when you buying their jewelry. All they want is that money, because they know all you want to do is impress some chick, not knowing, like we were in our young 20s. Hey, it looks good on you, but try to trade it in to see if it's worth that. They're going to be like, I can give you 100. They're gonna treat you like it's a pawn shop. And you like, hold up, brother. I just spent $10,000 on this. And guess what they offer you back? I can give you like 1,000. Yeah, listen. Something like this happened to me in real life before in 2007. I almost cried. I ain't gonna lie to you. I because he promised me when I bought it, if I ever need to trade it in, it was a lie. Then he told me the truth when I tried to bring it back, because I didn't want to wear the cross no more, knowing it meant Tammuz. So I learned a lot about this a long time ago. I'm like, okay, so these people, when they're coming over here, they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly who we are. We're street preaching. I'm seeing an Asian lady pull by. She was just mugging us the whole time. She pulls up. Stop. Just give us that look. Muslim Arab dudes, same thing, trying to record us and all that. Listen, you got some people who are going to die for their religion. You got some people who, and for those same people, they want to follow Christ. They know that we need to be put up as the leaders to lead this world. Right? Now, with all this going on and all of this importance, what part do we want to play in this? If you ain't got no food to eat, if you're not one mind and one body, How can you endure to the end? Let's read. They have shed blood of the just in the midst of her. They have shed the blood of the just. Now, when it says just, does it mean that the just is perfect? Of course not. People who's going to work 9 to 5, and even though they ain't in the truth, that don't mean they perfect, but they still just good people that's just, trying to live their life, raise their children. But we have grown to be like the evil of the Gentiles, shedding the blood of our own, just like that happened in the past. They have wandered as blind men in the streets because we think we can see, but we are the valley of dry bones, walking like zombies around here. Huh? Mind gone, on drugs, taking these psychedelics, mushrooms, and taking pharmaceuticals, bragging and rapping about pharmaceuticals. So our people was going through this back then in their own different way, but now we're doing it in a different way as well, like in the way that I just spoke about here, so that men could not touch their garments. So listen. It says, they polluted themselves with blood so that men could not touch their garments. They cried unto them, depart ye, it is unclean, depart, touch not. So let me tell you, when they fled away and wandered, they said among the heathen, they shall no more sojourn there. The anger of the Lord had divided them. He will no more regard them. Look at that. Do we want to be in this position where we don't have the protection of our God? To where they got blood on them just so people won't touch them. It's bad. That's how bad it is. People eating their own children, robbing and pillaging each other. The anger of the Lord had divided them. He will no more regard them. They respected not the persons of the priest. They don't care about their leaders. They don't care about the people who can actually guide them and lead them. They favored not the elders. As for us, our eyes yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. They hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. And let me tell you, in the siege, the Most High allowed it back then, and he's going to allow it again. They hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heavens. Who's that eagle? Esau. Not only is it only Esau, but it's everybody who Esau hires as mercenaries and all that under him. Esau is at the top, but he can hire people who's not specifically Esau under him. But it still represents Esau. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness. We tried to hide in the mountains. They ran to us. They tried to go to the wilderness. They got us. The only thing can protect you in these type of times is the Most High. His mark on you, his covering. What you see going on right now is to prepare for the last phase, the mark of the beast, with the digital currency, digital dollar, digital ID, artificial intelligence. We got a little time, but this is the warning. And you know how powerful the Most High is. So many beautiful things happened on the new year to prove that our time is on point. Huh? My chickens hadn't laid all winter because they have to molt and rest. And so usually when people's chickens are not laying, they think something is going on with the feed, all this stuff. No, you got to remember your chickens have to rest. Don't forget, spring is when things spring forth. My sheep is pregnant, getting ready to have her her sheep or whatever, and her lambs, and my cattle pregnant. Things are springing forth in the spring. So they go out there on the same exact day of the new year, that Sunday morning, and they got some eggs, showing you how perfect the timing of our calendar is. They needed more vitamin D. They needed more hours of sunlight. And exactly that day is when they laid. Tell me the creation of the Most High is not on point. Check that out. Huh? The strike with Iran. New Year's. I'm going to tell y'all, you're living in a special time. You might want to pay attention. Okay? So, the breath of our nostrils, the anointed of the Lord, was taken in our pits, of whom we said, under his shadow we shall live among the heathen. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Eden. He will discover thy sins. So, the Most High will also have to get Edom, because Edom, he's used as our punisher, our whipping belt, but at the same time, Edom also have dealt with Satan to try to fight against the Most High. Not only is he, punishing us, he have also became too prideful. But so have we. So first he has to deal with us, and then he will deal with them last. He's going to save the best for last. All right. So let me open up really quick some of these links really quick, and then I will open the lines. I'm not going to be able to show all of these videos, but I want to show you first for some of you. Let's first talk about if you're in a place that has clay. If you have beautiful soil, man, you're blessed. But if you have heavy clay soil, which a lot of people do, I'm going to teach you a few things that you can do. And I'm going to say before the video, because I can't play the whole of the video because it's late. I'm only coming on here for an hour and a half. If you have a fruit tree, you make a big circle with your shovel. You don't put your fruit tree all the way in the ground. You plant half of it, a quarter to half of it in the ground. You put dirt on the rest like a little pyramid and mound it. You don't want your taproot to go too far into the clay right away. You can throw some gypsum on it to help to break the clay up. You can throw some aged manure, compost, mix that in, a little leaves. It's going to create a fungal bacteria network, and over time, your fruit tree will do better. If you can bring in dirt to the area, like if you want to plant a bunch of trees in a row, if you have the money, bring in some dirt. Get you some dirt. Get somebody from a little soil shop to bring you in. They will come with a whole truck and deliver you some dirt. Sometimes, at least in Texas, it's $200, $300, depending on what type of soil you're getting. And you tell them, hey, I want to put this soil. You can even make a raised bed for trees, guys. You can put them in big 50-gallon drums, cut the drum in half. You can buy plant buckets, plant it in the bucket, cut the bottom of the bucket out, put some cardboard at the bottom of that, give it some time for the roots to eventually go to the bottom of that soil. And it's just, you're just giving the tree some time before the roots go into the other soil. And the tree will still grow big. I'm going to show you for a fact. A man in Australia who has the same clay soil as me and a lot of you other people. Okay? You need to know what grows in your area, what's native that grows in your area, very good. And for me personally, I'm tired of growing fruit trees and every time they want to have a freeze, running to cover them. I'm not covering anything anymore. I'm putting my fruit trees, the ones that are winter weak, only in the greenhouse. Not every year am I going to be covering things anymore. I'm done with it. I don't like to garden where overdoing anything. I already have to shepherd as a pastor. I have to do a lot of things. I don't want to be spending money, things getting more expensive. Every year I have to cover something up. I'm not doing it. There's chemtrails everywhere. And guess what? Maybe you can do it. But I'm saying for me personally, through my experience, I'm not doing it. I don't want chemtrails on some. And chemtrails are going to touch some of your stuff. But if you have great soil, you'll be fine. You do a foliar spray maybe once every 2 weeks of compost tea, chlorine dioxide. You can spray chlorine dioxide on your trees. Yes, you can. Okay, it does some amazing things too. Lactobacillus. These are things that you can do. Okay. Yeah, so you can, it's, if you have good soil with that's living, the fungus will eat the heavy metals before it hits the roots. So don't worry about it. Do your little foliar spray every now and then. And that bacteria that's naturally on the leaves and also what you spray will eat up the things from your trees. So you can do that too. But I'm mostly talking about the winter. That's for me. I want certain tropical things and certain things in the winter to not, I don't want to keep these things moving all over the place all the time. And me putting covers and it's like, no, it's enough already. They want to bring what they want to bring when they want to bring it. No. So you have to be wise too of your area, your zone, your growing zone. If you don't know what a growing zone is, look up your growing zone in your area. So you can know which plants to plant, what to plant. These things are very important. Guys, we're coming into a time where you can't just be winging it. There you go, Julian Davis. Living Earth has mulch and soil. Now I've gotten some soil, Mr. Julian Davis, from Living Earth before. And let me tell you something. I made the mistake of getting so happy and rushing and growing in it one year. Boy, did I make that mistake. My plants did not grow that. They did not grow that whole year, except for certain things. Certain things grew, but a lot of them didn't because that compost was still hot. And I knew that it might have still been hot, but they said it was sitting still. So I thought that it was okay. Huh. They said it was sitting still. And I thought that it had sat long enough. Well, it was still too hot. So if you ever planting some new soil and you didn't let it sit for like a month or two, the only way you can get rid of that is mixing it in with the soil that you already have. Okay? Yeah. So just want to put that out there really quick. So you can plant in clay soil. Let's prove from one of these expert gardeners here. Fair use for educational purposes only. My nose is itching all of a sudden. Good Lord. Okay, yeah, I was out there and concrete coming in my nose, all type of dust. Fair use for educational purposes only. Probably gonna have to do the neti pot, flush all of this dust out of my nose. All right, so I have this guy here, Self-Sufficient Me. I like to watch his channel sometimes. Okay, I want you to check it out really quick. And I like him also because he's honest. I don't know him personally, but I'm saying he's honest about his soil. I mean, about his plant in his garden. So check it out.
Self-Sufficient Me, and over the past 18 years I've grown over 150 fruit trees right here in this dense heavy clay soil. So stick around and I'll show you what works, what doesn't, what fruit trees you shouldn't bother growing in clay, and what varieties thrive, and how you can do it too, even if you're dealing with soil that's as hard as concrete or as sticky as clay. Let's get into it. Clay soil is made up of tiny particles that hold water well but it drains poorly, and it's sticky when wet and very hard when dry. You can get different types of clay soil, of course. Some is worse than others. This one here is probably in the middle somewhere. If I dig down a bit deeper, it gets worse.
Oh, before we start, few key tips. I've tried everything with this clay, so everything he's saying is perfect. Don't think because you plant a big hole and put it in a big hole is going to do anything. You're actually going to choke the tree. The tree cannot move in the clay. It takes time. It'll take years for that tree to grow. I mean, because it just can't move in that clay. So, like I said, you're going to dig a big hole. You're going to dig a big circumference, break all the wall up of that circumference. Okay, put it in. It'll give it some time, but you're still not going to plant it too shallow. But and you don't want to overwater. You don't want to add sand. Sand will also just get crazy hard. Okay, so you want to add compost and aged manure and things like that, organic matter, basically. Okay, he's going to tell you that.
But yeah, it's not good stuff. The main challenges growing in clay are poor drainage, leading to root rot, compaction of the soil, which makes it harder for the roots to get down and grow properly, hard to dig. So that's a problem when you're planting fruit trees or doing drainage or anything like that. And we'll get to drainage later. And yeah, the main one is pH and nutrient lockup. I think that's probably the biggest one out of the four that I've just mentioned. Clay soils often have an alkaline pH above 7, though this can vary by region. When the pH is outside of the ideal range, typically 6 to 7 for most fruit trees, certain essential nutrients like iron, manganese, phosphorus and zinc become chemically unavailable to fruit trees and plants, even if they are present in the soil. And that is called nutrient lockup. So what this means for fruit trees is stunted growth, pale leaves, yellowing, chlorosis, and poor fruiting can result, not because the nutrients aren't there, but because the plant can't access them. So your fruit trees might appear nutrient deficient even after throwing a good helping of fertilizer down, simply because the pH level isn't right for the tree to absorb the nutrients, or the roots in that plant or tree just simply can't get down or get around or get the feeder roots out to be able to get those nutrients. So how can you manage this problem? Well, the book will tell you what you can do is you can test for the soil pH. I've never done that. I mean, I've done that as a novel thing to do, but not before planting. You know, what's the point? If you know you've got clay, you know it's going to...
He be keeping it... Excuse me, I got my mic all over the place. He be keeping it so real. So I want y'all to pay attention. Look at his fruit trees. He got huge fruit trees. No matter if it's chemtrails or nothing like that, what's going on, once those trees get mature, establish themselves in the soil, they can take care of themselves. Every now and then you'll have one die off or whatever the case may be. So it's really just getting that soil right. So just listen to what he said. He definitely knows what he's talking about. His fruit trees are thriving and they're huge.
An issue, and most people wouldn't do that. And I have never done that. What I have done is I've used organic matter, compost, aged manure, mulch to buffer pH and improve the nutrient availability. That is by far my favourite and most easiest way, but we'll talk more about that later. The other thing you can do is you can use a chemical like sulfur, a sulfur product, and that can help break it down and free it up. If your fruit tree is suffering and it's growing okay, well, what you can do is give it a foliar spray, like iron chelates and that type of thing, other nutrients and trace elements, and get the nutrients through the foliage rather than through the roots. And that can give you, or the plant, the tree, some temporary relief and keep it going while you're trying to make it happier in the soil. Key solutions that actually practically worked for me, and let's go right back to the beginning. The first thing is siting. I sited most of my orchard on the highest ground on our property. Like, this was all blank. There was nothing here. all you can see here. It looks untidy at the moment because I'll show you the ground. It's a bog hole down here, down the back.
Watch what magnesium does to your bowels.
If you
Also, don't plant in clay if it's a low area, and it's gonna stay soaked because here I go again. Here I go again with the mic. Don't plant in your clay in a low area, in a low spot. It will just soak up water. It will just drown your roots and then kill your tree. You have to know which tree likes to have roots like that, but really you want to have well-drained soil. And if you have a low spot, what you can do, you can go and rent a skid steer or something and dig up a spot in your land and fill that area up, and you got you a little pond right there. And if you don't know how to do that, you have to hire somebody, or you just get some more dirt brung in from a local dirt site. Okay, and you bring that area up maybe with some more I would personally say something like select field, which is clay and sand. Okay, clay and a little sand, and then you can, wherever you plant your tree, you just you fill it in, with a little the stuff that he's saying, topsoil, organic matter, things like that. But you never want to plant your tree in a low spot where it'll just hold water and it'll just soak it in and it'll die. That's what I wanted to say. Very important. That's what he's trying to show here.
Runs away. So that will always stay drier than down the bottom here of the hill. The other thing I did right from the beginning, it wasn't a big job. All I did was run some ag pipe with a sock on it so that the clay wouldn't get inside it. There's about 3 or 4 that are running all the way down here, and that runs down to the bottom of our property where our chickens are, but past the chickens down there to a dam, which we used to have ducks, and now it's a second watercourse for chickens and other animals and lizards and all sorts of wildlife. But yeah, all that water runs into that, or a lot of it does, and it helps with the management of that top orchard. But there are some fruit trees that a bit of drainage is not enough, and those are trees.
So you see what he did. He basically dug like a little hole in the ground, and you could put some. It's not landscape fabric. It's called like a pond. What do you call that? A pond tarp. What do you call that? I can't remember. You put them in ponds so that they won't drain away through the ground, unless you just have really good clay. And then he allowed that area that like to hold a lot of water for that groundwater to be able to rush down into that pond there. Okay, that man-made pond. So this is very important to know that you can do things like this. All right.
Like avocados, and one I'm just going to show you right now, which is the fairy floss berry, my wife's favourite fruit tree here. She just loves the taste of them. It's the Panama berry. I've mounted the tree up using some of this plastic, well, it's garden barrier stuff. It's about 1.5 foot.
This is what I was talking about. This is very important information, guys. If you do not want to go and spend money on a fruit tree and waste your money, you really need to understand your soil type. I mean, personally, I prefer sandy soil than just some clay soil, or I just prefer some beautiful topsoil. But that's very rare for you just find some land. You just got the perfect soil. A lot of times you're just gonna go there and do like a HOA. Like, yeah, it's a pond liner. Pond liner. There you go. -144. I appreciate that. I forgot. So a lot of HOAs, they'll bring in a bunch of dirt on top of heavy clay soil. Like, they're building on a lot of the farmlands around the corner. And what they do is they bring in a lot of different types of soil. But then when they really want to get to the top portion, they'll bring in sand. One of the guys, works with dirt in our church. He told me bank sand. They'll bring in select field, and then they will bring in some topsoil as well. And so they're kind of mimicking the same thing that he's doing, but they have the money to bring in all of this and turn this into a whole new HOA type of zone. So, but this is how you can do it. You see this pot? They used to plant like this in Egypt. They would keep the things in the pots, plant the pots in the ground next to each other, and then the roots would just come out through the holes of the pot, and they will reach out that way. So this is just one way that you can do it. Or you can plant that tree halfway in the ground and put a bunch of dirt on it and mound it up like that. But the way he did it, the roots dug into the ground on their own, and the tree still was able to get huge. So you got to see that.
High, and I've just got that main root ball and taproot out of the clay soil. As you can see, it's growing really well. I was growing straight into the soil here. It had decent drainage. Like, everything else is growing very well here. All the other trees, mango.
He also has a lot of wood chips on that ground. Those wood chips are feeding that ground, that carbon, and the wood chips have a lot of fungal network when they're breaking down. The reason it has a lot of fungal network is because it takes fungi, to help break down those wood chips. Fungi and nitrogen. When you have that type of network, it's also communicating underground to tell the roots where to go and get water. Sometimes it will even bring water to the roots when you have the proper fungal network. So yes, it's not going to look perfect. Yes, it's going to look like, hey, you ain't cut your grass. Grass is growing up between the wood chips. That's not going to look perfect. But what's going to be perfect is those fruits that you're going to be getting out of that thing. If you want to tidy it up and all of that, you can do that. But pay attention to what you see going on. You got wood chips all around there. You can buy you a shredder. You can pay money for a shredder, or you can get free wood chips dumped, or whatever, if you got land that needs to be cleared, sometimes wood chippers will come through, chip it, and just leave it there, whatever the case may be. They need places to dump their wood chips and all that. Okay? Or you just go to Home Depot and spend the money, if you got it, to mulch around there. If you don't have that, do chop and drop. If you got things like bananas, whatever, you can chop and drop things around there. If you got a lot of manure, it's just putting it around those trees, and it will eventually feed those trees. Old chicken bedding, man, amazing for trees. Using what you have. When you use these methods, you don't have to go to the store and buy fertilizer, guys. The fungus and the bacteria will feed your trees more than some fertilizer. Trust me.
This is a Nashi.
It's nothing wrong with using fertilizer, but I'm telling you, once the soil is speaking to each other and communicating, I'm going to be honest with you. Sometime it may take, depending on how long you've been building that soil, sometime it may take, depending on your soil, 3 to 5 years to really get the soil to speak. It don't have to take that, but I'm saying it takes some time sometimes. So just be patient. If you're doing Hugo culture, if you got like a raised bed, you're mounding a bunch of logs and woods, and then you're putting soil on top of that. What that is, you're planting your starter plants in there, whatever veggies, and that still may take about 3 more years to really settle. You're going to have cockroaches and mice and stuff trying to get in there. Yeah, this is true, but the fungus that's trying to break down the wood underneath, it's going to turn your garden into something amazing. And when those roots are going down into the soil is not easily compacted because it's space between the wood and all of that. So it just makes an amazing situation when it comes to a raised bed, and you're not having to have so much soil to add into those raised bed. Okay. Yes, of course you can add biochar and all of these things, but biochar is not necessarily necessary. This is what the native Indians and Gadites would use when they burn whole forests and things like that. They would still find it under the soil. So I've used biochar before. Yes, it is amazing things. It allows the roots to turn very white and to breathe, but it's not absolutely necessary. But definitely, if you have it, amazing.
Pear.
That's the sound of an.
Sorry, you know how they have these ads and things like that. Forgive me. Give me one moment here. Fair use for educational purposes only. Let's get back to it.
You got a pomelo there. Got a little lychee, all growing good. And the Panama was about here, where I've got this mulch, and I'll talk more about why I do this later. But it just would not survive. It got to a decent height, it tried its best, but it struggled to get nutrients, and it unfortunately perished. But building it up like that, it works a treat. I've done the same thing for our avocados. We've even got a few still on. There's another one here.
He brung these on. He brung these on mounds. He brung the avocados on mounds. So sometimes you bring in a load of dirt, and you know you can box blade it or get a tractor, or I mean you can roll it by the wheelbarrow too if you don't have a tractor. Put it in the mound. It don't have to be a long mound. It can be single mound spaced, or you can put a long mound and you can put your trees in there. That works too. I'm gonna tell you, it's something about those rows and those little hills on it has space, and it's more aerated for those things to grow, but it gives it time. Once again, any way you do it, putting it in a pot, letting the roots go out, mounding it, putting it on a long hill of a mound, it's just going to give those trees in that clay soil time. Now, why am I specifically talking about clay soil? Clay soil is one of the worst soils that you can have. It's one of the worst soils that you can have. So I wanted to talk about the worst things, because people, we need to learn how to turn water into wine. Okay? We need to know how to take lemons and make them lemonade.
Considerably, and that's to keep that taproot out of the clay soil. Even so, I've planted several avocados, hoping that some of them would keep going. Sometimes you can do your best, especially for a tree like an avocado, you can do your best to get it out of the clay and into free draining soil, but it will still contract disease like root rot disease, simply because that disease is in the soil anyway, and it just gets into the plant, unfortunately. Now, there has been some recent advances in the last few years with commercial grafting onto rootstock that is root rot resistant, and you'd think, well, that's great. Yeah, only if these commercial companies would let homeowners buy some of these trees, but at this present time, they're just using it for commercial use only.
Look at how the world is that we live in now. Look at the world that we live in now. After the sins of Adam and Eve, plagues happen, disease happen. This is crazy. Now you got to worry about pests and all of this on your plants. This is serious stuff that let me tell you, now you got chemtrails. They had to graft fruit trees that we eat from the store on root stocks that don't have disease, because a lot of the stuff we eat is not native to the area. We're living in a whole new world, guys, where people try to call themselves law keepers and all of this stuff. Listen, you had to live in the grace of Christ. They're grafting orange trees, fruit trees on root stocks that they had to modify just to get to this point. When some people think they pick up an orange, like, yeah, man, I got me an organic orange. Okay, yeah, it's organic to a certain degree, but don't think the rootstock wasn't modified to get it to that point, to where they can finally have a consistent fruit. Okay? Yes, guys, for those of you who didn't know, who try to keep every little law in the book, let me tell you something. That perfect fruit is imperfect, but we are grateful for it, that we can survive and make it through this time of this crazy world that we live in. Mostly all the fruit trees are grafted onto rootstocks. Facts. Just so you know, so that you don't have disease in your area. Do you know you can't just take a fruit tree from California, like a citrus, to Texas? Let me tell you, you could do federal time for stuff like that. You got to know the rules and regulations. And because sometimes you could take a tree over here and it will cause disease to the rest of the trees. This is how serious this stuff is. It's not just about getting some seeds and putting them in the ground. You can put a lot of seeds from the store in the ground and they will not grow fruit on them. That's how serious this is. You have to know what's going on here. This is the world we live in now. You have to do the best you can do with what you have. Okay? Yeah.
You know why that is, don't you? They just want us to buy avocados from the store rather than growing our own, because a really good flourishing avocado.
So they're keeping the commercial plants to themselves. So if you got the hookup with a farmer who will give you some of the commercial type, that's why some of the cucumbers I have, it's cucumbers that farmers deal with, the Bayet Alpha, high production cucumbers. I like to go around buying things that farmers are using because they are specifically bred to have high production for fast turnover. That's the type of things I try to buy. I don't always get to get them, but if I can get something that farmers are growing with, because they get the special stuff, but usually sometimes you have to have, sometimes it's patents and license and on some stuff like that, so you can't get it. But guys, they have stuff out there that's just producing, boom, 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 and they just leaving you with this stuff at these box stores that it's still good stuff, but they got the real good stuff. Okay?
In a great location, well, it produces a heap of fruit. I mean, I remember visiting my brother-in-law and my sister when they lived over in the Natal region of South Africa. Avocados there were about 20 cents each, and some of those trees were as big as our gum trees. They were massive things. Just grew so easily and so well. Yet some places around the world, and like here in my backyard, they're very difficult to grow.
Oh no. Sorry about that. Father have mercy. Very good information this guy is giving. He's blessing y'all. Telling you. He is blessing y'all.
But yeah, it'd be nice if the scientists would let the little guys have a go. Regardless, healing up works. And
So people want to be mad at Esau. Esau sitting here giving you game, and he telling you his own brothers, I want to hook him up with the game. See? And I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm not going to say don't waste your time on buying seeds for fruit trees, but you see what time we're in? You might want to get something that's going to be growing some fruit within the next 1 to 3 years. I wouldn't be waiting for something that's going to take 10 years to grow me some fruit, guys. I mean, I'm not saying you can't. There's nothing wrong with it if you just love your little garden. But in all reality, we need to really have something that, and sometimes I've seen people who get small trees that outgrow bigger trees because of they have beautiful soil. They just dumping chicken bedding and all type of stuff on that tree, feeding that tree, and that tree is just growing. Right? So yeah, Esau is not getting hooked up by his own, his own people.
I'll tell you a great example down here in the bottom of our property where it's starting to get all sloppy. This mulberry tree here, it's not dead, it's coming into winter, so it's just losing its leaves. But I can't get in here to mow, but it's difficult for you to see. But that is actually hilled up. I moved that tree from down here, where I mistakenly put it too far down the hill. And in hindsight, it probably is.
I've had that happen to me where you think that because there's water in the area, it's going to be just fine. It's actually going to be where you don't have to water it. Then it has too much water. It's not well drained soil, and you have to move it or you'll kill the tree. I've been through that. So let me tell you, listen to what he's saying. This is important. I don't want you guys to waste any money. Let me tell you, they try to go up on gas and all of these things. Have we been here before? Yes, we have. And we're going to be fine. But we don't want to waste things we don't have to waste. We want everything to be fruitful.
Too far down the hill. It's still surviving and doing well. That's simply because I hilled this up when I transplanted the tree, and it's been going good ever since.
What's the key thing I'm teaching with this? Heal the trees up. We're starting with the clay soil. Heal them up. And this is with fruit trees right now, not gardening right now. Fruit trees. We're going to go to the garden next, and then we're going to open up the lines.
So yeah, healing up does work. And of course, like I alluded to earlier, organic matter. I'm often doing this. I mean, often. I'm crazy about it. I've been doing it for the last 18 years, and you'll see scattered areas, even not necessarily around fruit trees, but just randomly piles of mulch that I've chipped up through the chipper and just left sit in random locations, because what happens is this mulch, especially if it is around a fruit tree, that breaks down into the soil and it creates its own chemical reaction, seeps into the clay and helps break down that clay and loosen that clay up. It's just like gypsum would do, which is another good soil amendment. That also helps, and I wouldn't shy away from using gypsum as well around your garden. I've done that too, and other soil amendments is fine to help speed that process up, but nothing beats mulch and organic matter, manures and that dug into the soil or just left on top for it to do its thing. But there is a faster way, and that way I'll show you in a second, and it's probably the best way of all, and I'll show you what I mean soon. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about was another practical way is when you do plant your fruit tree, instead of digging a deep hole, well, dig also as wide as you can go. And the reason for that is you want a nice wide hole so that you can sort of put breaks in the wall, and when you plant the tree, especially initially, that root ball isn't just going to be sitting in a clay bathtub. So when it rains, that clay is not seeping that water through, and your root ball is just sitting in a bowl of water. That's a quick way to kill your fruit tree and waste money. So amending the soil is...
So I hope you guys, let me simplify for what he's saying. If you dig a bowl, a big bowl, I don't care what type of dirt you put in there. The clay is so strong, your dirt, if it just has a rain for like a week, for example, what will happen is that your dirt will start coming up because that soil is too light. You've created a clay bowl. The water is going to sit in the bowl. Your rest of your light soil is going to come up, and it's just water just sitting in there. And so your tree root rots. So you plant it halfway in there, so that clay is not opened up to where it can receive too much of that water just sitting in the bowl. You have better drainage. And if you give it organic matter, meaning cow dung, horse dung, whatever type of dung you have, it doesn't matter what type of manure you have. It doesn't matter. You have aged manure, it's even better. Compost. Compost is pretty much the same stuff. You can, whether you're buying it at the box store or not, you put that around your tree. Constantly feed your tree, even old vegetable scraps. Not too close to the roots, but you just feeding that thing, chopping some, leaves and stuff, putting it down there. You get bags of leaves from the neighborhood, put it down there. Leaves are amazing because they have different types of bacteria from different area. That's Korean natural forming. That's another method that's out there, Korean natural farming, bringing different types of bacteria from different parts of the world, different parts of the states to your area. And though when you bring that from a good mature forest, you will actually put those genetics and bacteria in your soil. It will start to speak to each other, and then guess what? It will help to defeat disease and stuff like that in your area. Let me tell you guys, when it said we was made from the soil, people just think about the skin and all that. No, it's talking about the gut mostly. The gut. This is where long life comes from, a great gut. This is where beautiful, healthy fruits and vegetables come from, a good soil, which is the gut of the ground.
Well and good. Takes time, lots of effort, but
I think we're going to go with you guys.
That's great.
A good, healthy gut, like I said.
an easiest way is to bring in some soil to put over the top of your clay. Now, when we bought this property, I was at a loss as to why there was about half a foot to a foot of standard dirt all around the back of our property, probably the first 30 or so metres from the back door of the house. And then as the hill dropped off, it just went to loamy and clay soil. And then up the top of the hill, from our front gate, it was just red clay from the get-go. And it wasn't until a few years after buying the property, I was speaking to my neighbour. He was here when our house was built. And he said to me, "Mark, did you know that the previous owner brought in several truckloads or more of fill to spread through the backyard?" What he essentially did was...
This is what I was talking about. If you have $300 to $500 for a big load, for a big truck, and you can get you like a ton of stuff like this in an area where you want to plant new fruit trees and a orchard or whatever the case may be, vineyard, you can bring this in, and you're adding an addition on top of the clay. This is what they do in HOAs. Okay, when you have developers come in, this is what they do. They're just adding soil. They're adding soil. Sometimes they would dig a big drainage hole, it's not really a pond, but it's just for drainage. That's according to the county that they have to do that when they're starting a business or they doing something commercial. They always have to dig a big old drainage hole. They use some of that dirt and then they add on top. But you don't want to necessarily add more clay on top of more clay, but they also bring in other dirt. Okay? Yeah.
And cleverly so, if he was going to plant an orchard here, which maybe was his intention at the beginning, or have a garden or whatever, he rightly thought, well, I'll just cover the top of this clay. The more you can bring in and cover your clay soil, the better, of course. But even half a foot, even 6 inches is better than nothing. It doesn't have to be good garden soil, because when you talk about amending soils, it's far easier to amend crap garden soil or standard fill than it is to amend clay. So
you don't have to get some expensive soil to put on top. He's saying it's easier to amend that because it's easier for the roots to go through than clay. Okay, very important information right here, guys, for people who are starting homesteads, people who are learning how to garden. Take this video and take some notes. Very important.
you're better off even getting cheap fill from anywhere, and maybe you might see some signs around where fill is welcome. Some properties, especially in rural areas, will say, we welcome fill, and that means they're welcoming people to come in with just standard dirt that they get from...
If you want free dirt, put a sign up in front of your house that says we welcome fill dirt, need fill dirt. Free dirt, not free dirt, but we take fill dirt. And eventually, if they have dirt, if developers are working in your area and they want a place to dump dirt, they'll come and dump the dirt. And also, you can sell dirt. If you got enough land where you want people to just dump dirt, hey, you can also sell dirt in your neighborhood because people need dirt. So all you have to do is call a dump truck, come pick the dirt up. You sell that dirt You get a dump truck driver some money, a few monies, and guess what? There you go.
Scraping off a property, and maybe they're building a new house or something.
Do you think this guy don't know what he's talking about? Look at all of these lemon trees. Look at all these citrus. They can grow in clay. They don't mind the clay. You just really have to get them established. Make sure you got good organic matter around them. And with citrus, man, they will grow so big. I used to be in Europe, and they had no one watered this tree. This tree just kept giving me lemons every day. Every day I was drinking lemon tea in the morning at the time. No one was watering this tree. This tree was taking care of itself. Once these trees get established, they'll be just fine. Okay, so you can grow beyond any shadow of a doubt things in clay soil.
If that dirt is decent dirt, doesn't have to be fantastic garden soil or premium garden soil at all. They just want that fill to go into areas and to build up their garden, and that's why they do it. So yeah, you can see that you've got normal soil at the top soil. It's not fantastic, but it's normal soil. And then when you dig right down, it starts turning into clay. The topsoil is starting to mix in with the clay and improve it just slightly. But the crux is, the more you dig down, the worse the clay gets. So what that little bit of topsoil will give you is plenty of depth enough to grow a whole array of other fruit trees, like all the citrus you want, or the stone fruit you want if you're in an area where you can grow stone fruit, mangoes.
One moment, let's let this ad pass here. Fair use for educational purposes only. Yeah, so it's certain things that don't mind terrible soil or clay soil. So as you see him showing that right now.
Cherry, apples, a whole array of Asian fruits, the star apple, mulberries, and a whole plethora of fruit trees you can grow practically in clay and have no worries at all and have a very successful growing orchard. If you're like me and you can't help yourself and you really want to test the limits, well, you will try growing trees like custard apples and avocados and other trees like this Panama berry, but you're going to have to work hard at getting them to grow and outmaneuver the clay. A few maintenance tips. Don't overwater, it's self-explanatory. It's just going to keep the ground more wet. Trees and plants, they need oxygen around their root zone, so if it's constantly wet, they're not going to get that. Keep the mulching up around your fruit trees, that's always going to help. Like I said, you're better off
key information
more so than fertilizer. Don't over-fertilize. It's tempting to try to solve your problems through throwing down more fertilizer. All you're going to do is waste money and potentially burn the roots and burn your fruit tree. Rather than extra fertilizer, go with the organic matter. Even if it was organic type fertilizers, better than synthetic fertilizers, that's for sure. Like I said before, don't plant them too deep. Deep planting, where you might plant a fruit tree down deeper than its root ball. So down where the stem is covered, or some of the stem is covered. And the reason why people do that is they believe, and I also believe this for several types of fruit trees, that you can get extra root growth coming from that and build a bigger root ball and thus a more healthier and more productive tree.
Amazing information.
That will never work in clay soil. All you're doing is suffocating it, get collar rot, all sorts of things. So you would only practice deep planting in free draining soil in the perfect location. So if anything, you want to plant a little bit, even above or a lot shallower than you usually would. Yeah, so the difference between our backyard and the front yard couldn't be.
Tell me this brother don't know what he's talking about. See, you got people who want to talk and who ain't did nothing. You got people who wants to have little fruit trees on YouTube and they telling you how to do stuff. No, they need to show forth their works. This brother have like huge trees and he's been able to test them year after year and after year to show you that this actually works. It's not just a YouTube person telling you, you can do this and do that and this will do that. Okay, well, show forth what you've done. And this man got huge fruit trees that have grown a decade plus to prove to you that this method actually works if you have patience and you do exactly what he's saying.
It's dark. The backyard here has got that extra fill put in that we've been able to transform into beautiful topsoil. The front yard, no fill, and all I've had to do over the last 18 years is keep dumping heaps and heaps of mulch and organic matter into that front garden so we can grow our front food forest. The thing is, it's taking a long time. It's working, but it's not the easiest thing to do, and it takes literally a decade or so. People can do it faster, they work harder at it, of course, but amending the soil through the organic method.
Do you see how long it takes? So for vegetables, this is easy. For vegetables with the wood chips, this is easy for vegetables. But for fruit trees, they need to really go deep into the ground. The vegetables, they don't need that much root space. Fruit trees need to go deep. So personally, plant your fruit trees on a mound. Plant your fruit trees on the mound. Get you some dirt. Save you some money. Get you some dirt delivered. Wherever you want to plant your fruit trees. If you want to plant them all in a row, I would mound up that whole row. I would add at least 2 feet of dirt on top personally. 2 feet at least, or at least a foot. But I would try to do at least 2 feet. All right, and then I would add a bunch of mulch on top, not covering the graft or whatever so that it don't rot out. Okay, it will work a lot faster for you, and adding in organic matter even with that, so that you don't have to wait as long. Always chopping, dropping, keeping it neat as possible so critters and snakes and stuff like that won't try to hide under there. But you can't avoid all of that. But just pay attention to what he's saying. He's saying, now I have areas where I've added a lot of wood chips. And I think that over the past 4 or 5 years that, hey, some of that would be really nice to put, some things in there. But it takes time. Depends on your area, how much rainfall. A lot of these things depend, okay? But this was a powerful video to help you guys. He had everything. We didn't have to jump all over the place, right? I'm going to give you some other links that you can watch and study so that you can know how to do compost, how to no-till, all of this stuff.
Is definitely a longer way of doing it. But nevertheless, it's still a good, cheap way to amend your soil and help.
But look at the trees where he brung in dirt. It gave them time before they hit the clay. Once the taproot hit the clay, if the tree is already huge, you're not too worried about it because it's already giving you what it needs to and producing what it needs.
That clay problem. So if you've been told that fruit trees won't grow in clay, don't believe it. With the right approach, the right attitude, you will not only grow fruit trees in clay, they will thrive. And remember, you don't need to have perfect soil to be self-sufficient. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you...
This is a Gentile who've turned water into wine, turned lemons into lemonade, made $1 out of 15 cents. I'm going to tell y'all, we have to use that same faith. You may not have as big as a backyard as him. You may only have a place where you can put pots, and that's okay. That's where you start. That's where I started. I started putting things in pots. I was growing on a windowsill, sprouts. I was growing in little pots, clay, and you just keep moving up from there, and God will continue to bless you from there. He blesses you, the work of your hands, when you continue to show him what you want to do. All right. So I want to show you. One, I want you to check out this when you get a chance. Check out this when you get a chance. Back to Eden gardening documentary film. I'm probably still going to have to play it on the show because I like to break things down. Please don't pay attention to this part here, but we do have to go into it. That was just his title. But we can't be over righteous here, okay? That's just his little, okay, so we have growing corn and grass. No dig, no till corn. Is that even possible? Okay, let's be mature enough to know how people reel you in to watch a video. But I'm sure he's shocked that he's able to do such a thing without tilling the ground. Let's see how he did it from his experience. Let's check it out. There's many different ways to not till the ground. Let's check it out. See, people can say what they want to say until you've actually done it. I'm not saying this is the way you should do it. Do it the way you want to do it. But I want to show you different methods than having to break your back. It's going to be hard work either way. But, You're not supposed to plant corn in almost August. It's too late. At least that's what they say. And you can't grow corn in a yard. You gotta loosen the soil up. That's what everybody's done. What are you thinking? What's wrong with you? Now, I wasn't gonna do this video. I've been compiling some video of this, and I was just gonna share it at the end of the summer and share it with you guys. But I just watched a really good video, and it's about success and failure. He's got a great YouTube channel. His name's Gone with John. That's his YouTube over and over again. And one time you were successful. No dig. Just taking this stick right here with this tip. And you can see it's right up to my chin. And I sharpened it. Now this is a piece of cherry. I chopped this thing down from the cherry tree over here because it was in my way with mowing and everything, and I needed a good stick for planting. And the way I got to this, planting corn when you're not supposed to plant. You're not supposed to plant corn in almost August. It's too late. At least that's what they say. And you can't grow corn in a yard, or you gotta loosen the soil up. That's what everybody's done. What are you thinking? What's wrong with you? And for the longest time I've overlooked this, and someone left a message. I'm pretty sure their name's Chaz. It was in my video about my corn where the wind just completely blew all my corn over in the wood chips. And never think you have to do what everybody else says you have to do in this world according to, let me tell you, use your innovative mind, try things, experiment. We all learn from each other. I've tried all of these different ways, and I've made them all successful. But in different environments, I'm going to do what's best for me in each environment according to the tools I have, the help I have, the space I have. It all depends. It all depends. I'm going to grow what's best for me in the type of space I have, what's going to preserve me longer, what's better, more beneficial for me, right? That's just what it is. If I know I can grow citrus very good, and I know citrus is going to be a powerhouse, I got citrus to barter with someone else because I know that citrus is going to grow. I'm not going to waste my time trying to grow things that necessarily won't grow when I could just get that from somebody else. You got to think. And so let me tell you, I like when I hear people saying, everybody say you got to do it this way, but I did it this way and it worked. Not that he's trying to be better, but it's like, no, you can still have this as an option. They said in the video, they were like, I'm trying, I don't want to butcher it, but they were saying, how do you think people did it? That sucks. It's a bummer. How do you think people felt a long time ago, like American Indians, when they had to survive off of that? And I kind of laughed. I was like, yeah. And I was like, wait, I know how they did it. Yeah, I read all of this. I've done the research. American Indians and even South American Indians, North and South American Indians, would burn an area, whether it's the forest or a grassy area. Let's talk about North American Indians. They'd burn along riverbanks.
the grassy areas. And they would do it in early summer, not in early spring. They would do it once everything's kind of grown up and you've got all that dead, dry stuff from the year before that's made it through the winter and it's just really dry, and you've got some green stuff popping up through there. They would burn all that. And once it's all burned, they would take a stick and they would walk around and stab it in the ground and plant it. This is the oldest agricultural tool known to man, the planting stick. And that's how American Indians did it. And I was thinking, it's like, yeah, they would just burn everything and just stick a hole in the ground and plant it. I was like, wait, why? You idiot. This voice in my head was like, hey, you idiot. Why haven't you been...
I don't know why Esau always has to curse themselves out or call themselves named. I don't know why Esau does that, but that's just how they roll.
that? Why haven't you been taking an area and using a planting stick? And I wasn't thinking about, I didn't want to burn all this. I was like, let me just try this. I'm going to mow everything down. Now this is how I used it, the mower, to space everything.
Smart,
Put the
smart.
mower in there. This is when I was designing everything. I was like, all right, I'm going to mow down this way, so I want it to go on each side of it. So I took the sticks. I said, all right, I'm going to have one row right here. I got the other stick over there. I was like, I have another row right here. And that's how wide I made it. I made it exactly wide enough that my push mower could go down the rows, and I could keep the
He said they do that for the dramatic effect. I guess what? Y'all be having us rolling with that thing, though. I'm like, Esau is like, hey.
nice and mowed. And I'm going to take this stick, this planting stick, and sharpen it to a point. Now, black cherry's got really hard wood. It's really, really strong. And when I first made this, I made it really sharp. It was kind of sharp, and I didn't really do much. And a bunch of the wood was always getting in my corn. Something's always getting into it, or something's always happening. And I've been able to grow corn. One year I grew popcorn, and it was really, really, really good. But I've always had to try to do this and do that, and just making things very, very overcomplicated.
Beautiful.
And if you're doing something as an experiment, or you're making things complicated, and you don't have such as good a success with it, but you know what does work, right? Why aren't you doing what works? You know, and so instead of burning this, I just mowed everything down, and I started taking the planting stake. Now, the way I would do it is I would stab it in the ground, and I drop the seed in there, and then I'd take my heel and kind of bury it. I'd kind of step on it and try to cover it up a little bit. Now, as my heel is on the old hole.
Now, you know, I found a better way to do this is just, if you have help. It'd be nice to have help when you're planting a lot of corn, but if it's only you, it's only you. But, you know, you can have somebody with a stick that's a foot size, put that stick down, boom, hit it, go to the next person, boom, hit it, go to the next, not next person, go to the next hole. And you can have a person with like a little cup of wood chips or dirt, cover that thing up. I don't care if it's sand, whatever. And, you know, you could do it like that. Do it your way, but just get the hint of what he's trying to say, that is very successful. And as long as you keep it tidy by mowing it, that corn is just like grass, very similar to grass. It's going to grow, okay?
I'd use my foot as a spacer for the next one. So right at maybe about a couple inches in front of my decent soil underneath. What's going on is the grass is really shallow. The roots on them do not go deep. They're really, really shallow. Usually about 1 to 2 inches is where the roots of the grass are. They don't go deeper than that. And if you're putting the corn 2 to 3 inches, the corn's actually rooting underneath that. So it's not necessarily competing with anything. It's actually just using the grass as protection. Corn's a grass. So it's just a different type of grass growing with other grass. So it's just a taller grass. But let's go in here and take a look at all this. So here's one row right here. Got one
to the
row right
naysayers, to the naysayers who said you couldn't do it, there you go.
I've got another row right here that has just one little corn right here, and this stuff here must have got eaten or just not good germination. I was pretty sure that I got 100% germination on everything, but here's another one, and then there's another space, and then some big old stalks of corn right here. I mean, look at the stalks on these.
you can put a scarecrow. So I've seen some people putting a scarecrow. I know that may be a little old school, but there's one gentleman I watched. He put a scarecrow and he put a little radio with some batteries in it. And when it comes to playing the old type of symphony music, it's a different type of frequency. You might think it sounds a little crazy, but they've already proven it in experiments when they're playing like symphony type of music, that frequency helped those plants to grow, okay? Because it's on a whole different frequency. I'm not saying you have to do that, but the scarecrow, people may be thinking you got Halloween or something popping off or some Wizard of Oz popping off, but he said once he did that, no birds and none ate his corn. Okay, so all you got to do is get some pants, put some hay in that thing or some straw, and get you a little old school shirt from the thrift store. And hey, you got you a little scarecrow popping off, put him a little hat on, and there you go. There you go.
This is growing in grass.
He said not even no rabbits came because they thought that was a person. Okay?
This is not tilled. This is not worked. Look at this. This is just grass, guys. Grass. Even where look at. This is just yard.
Always remember something, guys. The ground likes to stay covered. It's like the skin. If the skin is not covered with some type of good oil, like coconut oil, shea butter, something that's good for the skin dries out. If the soil continues to stay uncovered, the soil dries out. Understand how the body and the soil are so inseparable and how they work together. Okay?
With corn growing in there. And this is growing better than the corn that I planted in the wood chips earlier than this.
Because the wood chips are so soft, they're a little too soft sometimes, even though they're good. Even though you watch Back to Eden Garden to a certain degree, you have to know what he's talking about. So I may have to watch that with you guys to explain it to you because some people have tried it and failed. So soil structure and stability is very important as well than just being so loose. It's a balance of both. I've tried it in the wood chips and you had to put sticks in it to make your corn sit up, and it's like, so having corn needs some strong soil. It needs some strong soil, okay? And with the corn is great. What's great about growing corn is very easy to grow. And if you need to spray it, you can spray it with some natural type of spray. You want to grow it close because corn needs to be grown close so they can pollinate each other. You can spray it with some natural stuff like just pepper spray, like soaking hot peppers and garlic and onion in the refrigerator. You can spray it with that if you need to. But hey, you can save it. That's what I like about the corn. You can save it. I seen some person putting some nails. They beat some Hispanics beating some nails on a little piece of wood, and they was taking that corn and rubbing it, and all the kernels was coming off. And you could just save that corn, let it dry out, and save it.
And then I got another row right here too. And I just made it as wide enough for the mower.
And if you're in a HOA growing like this, it's not messing up the yard. When it's time to go, all you're doing is mowing that thing down. Oh, no problem for show lawns. No problem. I'm showing this to the people because I think people really need to take this serious. People do not like to watch the garden and things. I'm like, okay, you don't like to watch it, pay somebody to do it for you. Get some help out there with people who you trust to help you to do it, or they can do it. And you say, hey, I'll let you use the land since you don't got a garden. You can do it, and you just hook me up with a little bit of this. Now, the person can't come on your land and then talk about, well, that person don't want to do no work. Well, because you coming on their land. It's bartering. You can work this thing however you want to work it, but we can make it happen.
Check it out. Look at that. I mean, I'm speechless, guys.
And then look, and then you got some people who will say, man, you got all of that. You just don't want to get under nobody. Hey, it's not easy to grow this stuff. Do you see what's going on out here with the money and the prices? It's like the little red hen. You didn't want to put your hand to you didn't want to put your hand to chip in money. You didn't want to put your hand to work it. Hey, chipping in money is easy. But I'm going to tell you something. It's easy to chip in money, but you need to chip in enough money. Anybody can say, hey, man, how much them seeds is? I'm going to buy a pack of seeds for $1. And then you got the person out there working. You chipped in money. Oh, I chipped in money for the seeds. Man, the seeds is only $1 or $2. And we out here grinding. And then you telling people, man, I chipped in money for the seeds. And they don't want to give me none of the harvest. Do you know the labor it takes to garden? But you telling people you put in money for the seeds. Okay. You want me to give you your $5 back? You want me to give you your $5 back? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you telling me you go, man, listen, I'm going to pay you some money for the seeds. I'm sorry to tell you, you're going to have to pay me more money than some damn seeds. I'm just sorry to tell you the truth about that. It takes too much work and time and toil to get out here. I don't give a damn if you garden, no-till, plowing. Either one is going to take some work. The harvesting is work. The storehouses is work. Yeah, but you yeah. Hey man, listen, I put that money in for them seeds. It's going down. We about to get something. You out there in the hot sun, whatever. I don't care if it's hot sun, if it's cool, if it's windy. You're out there, guys. It is not easy. That's why people didn't really have time to really just go to no school too much back then. It was all about eating and surviving. You could tell me how smart you are on a piece of paper, but where the food at? Where's the food at? You don't seem to be too smart. You ain't got no food. Somebody look. Julian Davis said I got 5 on it. Yeah, man. But this is serious though. Like it literally takes work, man. Every year, you're exercising. You're putting in work. You let me tell you, squatting. You getting deadlifts because you bending down. It's like it's all type of workouts going on in this thing. Where you wonder why these people, these farmers and these people who's doing this living so long, they working the muscles. They eating off the land. And, that's just what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah, you talking about I bought a pack of seeds. I'm chipping in. It's like, man, listen, the pack. I'm telling you guys this so you don't run into these things. Because I know our people, and they will buy you. Man, I wanted to invest in the work, man. I bought you 50 pack of seeds. And the person who's about to put in the work already know, I appreciate that, but, I really appreciate it, but it's going to take more than the seeds. Like, do you know how much work it is to plant these seeds and to keep the seeds alive? And I'm going to lose some seeds, and it's like, some seeds, they don't make it, just like the scripture says. And when it's time for the harvest, guys, it's just a lot of work altogether. But either way, the work is important because that's how you feed yourself. The work is not a complaint, but we're going to have to come better than that as a people. I don't like worms. Okay, well, you don't like worms, you don't like to eat. We're going to have to get certain things right in our mind. Worms dig tunnels through the ground. They leave worm poop and stuff like that, whatever you want to call it, worm castings. And, they help to thrive the soil. It's so much that goes in the garden. You constantly learn, you constantly get better, and you do what you feel is necessary for your soil, for your time, for your situation. If you have been successful at it, you won't be trying other things because you're successful at this. And if you do try, you'll try it on small levels. The most important thing is being successful at whatever method you have. It's no one right way. So today I'm just showing you because I believe that most people, I'm not saying most people are experts. I'm not going to say that, but most people have seen the way that the farmers do it. Okay, so I wanted to show this way. It's like, okay, most people are going to get out there and make their little rows, don't even know what they're doing or how to do it. So I said, let me show this first, you know what I mean, or whatever the case may be, the no-till method, to give people another option in case they get a little lazy, but it's still going to take some work. Right?
This isn't supposed to be happening. Now, I've still got about 2.5, almost 3 months of growing time for this corn, which is exactly enough for it to grow.
And I'm going to tell you something before I go forward. I hate to keep pausing the video, but think about how much you guys eat when you're planting. Think about what you actually like to eat. I love a lot of peppers. I love peppers. I love a lot of tomatoes. I love salsa. I don't like to just eat eggs alone. That's just not me. I love salsa and just things like that with my eggs. You know, I like spaghetti. I like, you know, I like certain things. So I think we can get caught up in planting so many things that we see on YouTube, and then you've only planted a little bit of what you guys actually eat. The rest of the stuff you don't even want to go and harvest because you don't really eat it like that. It's just for camera and it's cute. But I really think you want to plant what you grow, guys, and plant enough of it. So just keep that part in mind.
So I planted this stuff almost August 1st in my yard with a stick. And it's growing better than almost any other corn that I've ever grown in a garden or in loose soil or soil that was worked, or, you know, digging or tilling or any of that stuff. This is no dig, no till corn growing in the spot that anybody.
Now this is a whole nother get it out the mud way of no tilling. I'm not gonna say I've never seen this part, but most people would assume that the grass would take over, but the grass roots are so small, but the corn is gonna go, it has a deeper root than the grass. And this is really a really amazing way that he's done it. The soil is not drowning out. He's not disturbing the soil too much, so the environment, the ecosystem is one of the most important things when it comes to that soil. The organic communication, that is really, really, really important. And at least if you are tilling the soil, making mounds, you're smart enough to know to put back in that soil. So if you are tilling and opening it up, that's okay. Smart farmers know, hey, let me plant me some cover crop. Let me put it back in there. It's just, or add me some things back in there. Either way, you got to add back to it. That's the main thing about it. You can't just rob it and don't give it back nothing. And then in the past, we would let the land rest every 7 years. That's what we used to do in the past. You know, let things grow of itself, because really the ground needed to restore itself. And some people, the way they would do it modern day is we're not going to keep growing the same vegetables in this area because it'll rob the soil of too much potassium or too much whatever mineral. So they'll switch those plants that they're growing there and plant them somewhere else. Okay?
Could do. How many of you guys have a front yard that's got full sun, and you wouldn't mind maybe 4 or 5 good rows of corn growing there, whether it be some popcorn or sweet corn or some corn to turn into flour, some really cool colored stuff. Now,
and if you get you a little lime, you get you some little ashes. Now you can make you some you can make you the little corn, not the corn chips, the corn tortilla chips. You get your little lime, because you got to have a lime so you can process the corn, and that's how you make your little, we've done that already over here. You can make your little tortilla chips. So, hey, if it's shut down, hey, burn you some ashes. You don't put no lighter fluid in that thing. You want to make it natural with that fire. Now you got you some lime. Okay? And now you can, you got your corn, and now you can make your little corn, corn tortilla chips. So, hey, it's a lot of ways to learn how to work this land, and this guy have done it his way. And there's many other ways. Okay, so I've shown you back to Eden Garden. These are just inspirational videos for you to learn. You got the Amish way. Let me send you this one here as well. Amish got some beautiful ways to farm as well. Like I said, that's their way. I'm not saying their way is the best way. It just we can go through this video as well, just really quick. This is gonna be the last video though.
Everything I thought I knew about soil, watching an Amish farmer in Lancaster County walk right past his neighbors. His neighbor had spent the entire morning behind a rototiller, churning up that soil until it looked like a magazine cover. In years, the surface was covered in a thick layer of decomposing straw, and that was the moment I started asking questions. And what I learned over the next couple of years, every single season, instead of rototilling and how you can start applying these methods in your own backyard, they use to convert raw ground into rich planting beds without ever turning the soil once. I'll be honest with you, for over 20 years, I rototilled my garden every single spring. It was just what you did. My father did it. His father did it.
Like I said, this is not a bad way of doing it if you know what you're doing. You have to know what you're doing. Okay, I don't like to show things about what's best, and no. I like to show alternatives, not knowing the situation we will be in, not knowing what type of place we will be in, what type of soil we will have, if we have tools. I like to just show different methods. You need to know what you're doing. Is it sufficient for you? Okay, so you can still do regenerative farming with tilling the soil. You just need to know how to put back into the soil. Okay, so like I said, you know, people are just learning different ways because they're learning that farming takes a lot of work. But the only problem with no-till gardening, you may be learning, you may know how to grow things this way and it's working. You keep this way, and you got like a little side gardens that you are prepping for the next year or two, because it takes time to really build no-till soil. It takes about 1 to 3 years, depending on your situation. It takes time.
Fire up the tiller, churn everything under, and you feel like you've accomplished something. The garden looks clean, the soil looks soft, and you're ready to. But when I started paying attention to how certain Amish families in Pennsylvania and Ohio were managing their soil, I realized I'd been solving one problem while accidentally creating 3 others. What I'm about to share with you isn't about throwing away your experience. It's about understanding something that took me way too long to figure out on my own. Communities around Lancaster County and Holmes County avoid rototilling. It comes down to a principle that runs through almost everything they do. Stewardship, the idea that you don't own the land. You're caring for it so it can take care of the next generation. That might sound philosophical, but it leads to a very practical conclusion. If the soil is alive, and it is, then tearing it apart every spring.
I used to plant in that soil that you just saw, that little dry soil right there, but the stuff still grows. I'm not gonna lie, the stuff was still growing, and I was shocked. I'm like, how is it growing in this stuff? But it had constant little drip irrigation. But I'm not gonna lie, it's nothing like this. When I used to bring in them wood chips, it's black dark soil. It's nothing like it. The worms can flow through that thing. It's a different type of zone, but it takes time. That's the thing about it.
Preparation, it's destruction. And here's where the science backs them up completely. Your soil is not just dirt, it's a living system. There are fungi, bacteria, earthworms, and networks of mycorrhizal threads connecting plant roots underground. When you rototill, you shred those networks. You collapse the air channels that earthworms spend all year building. You kill beneficial organisms that were breaking down organic matter and making nutrients available to your plants. Thousands of dormant weed seeds up to the surface where sunlight and air trigger them to germinate. So that clean-looking tilled bed, it's actually a weed factory waiting to explode. The Amish figured this out through generations of observation, and soil scientists have since confirmed every bit of it. So let me show you exactly what they do instead. The first thing most Amish gardeners rely on is deep mulching. And I don't mean tossing a thin handful of straw around your tomato plants. I mean a serious, intentional layer of organic material that does the job a rototiller pretends to do, only better and without the damage. Here's exactly how to do it. In early spring, once your soil has warmed up enough that it's not cold and soggy to the touch, you want to lay down a layer of organic mulch 4 to 6 inches deep across your garden beds. Straw is the most common choice in Amish communities, but you can also use shredded leaves, aged wood chips, or a mix. The key is that it needs to be thick enough to block sunlight from reaching the soil surface.
Now, it's easier to go this route for vegetation than fruit trees. Okay. Because vegetation doesn't need, when it comes to clay soil, for example, it doesn't need that much root space, like I said.
what suppresses. Second, it holds moisture in the soil so you water less. Third, and this is the big one, it slowly decomposes from the bottom up and feeding the soil organisms that build the kind of rich but deep mulching accomplishes both of those goals over time without destroying the fungal networks and worm channels underneath. The earthworms pull organic matter.
This is how we get nutrition in our body to sustain us. So now when you're eating a small amount of food, it's so dense in nutrition, you get full faster. You're getting fungi, okay, to balance out your candida. Let me tell you, you're getting bacteria because you're not killing it off with pesticides. So you're getting probiotics also from your vegetables sometimes. Okay, yeah, this is very important. Let me tell you, this is a beautiful way to gain nutrition. But it takes time. And if you're not doing it and you're just getting your stuff from the store, I'm sorry to tell you. One moment. You are not getting great nutrition if you are really not getting it from a farm or growing your food. And even if you're getting it from a farm, you need to ask, are they doing regenerative gardening? Just because it comes from the soil don't mean they have all the nutrition. It depends on what they're putting back in the soil.
Creating natural aeration. The fungi thread through the soil binding particles together into what scientists call soil aggregates, which are the reason healthy soil holds both air and water at the same time.
Look at that fungi. It's a network. It is like, you know how I used to have the little fake cell phones with the little canned good joint, and you can hear the person on the other side? This is how the fungi network is. It's how the fungi network is, guys.
One thing to keep in mind, in your first season of deep mulching, you might still see some weeds push through, especially if your soil has a heavy weed seed bank from years of tilling. Don't panic. Pull what comes through and add another inch of mulch on top. By the second season, you'll notice a dramatic drop in weed pressure. I went from spending hours weeding every week to maybe 20 minutes, and that's not an exaggeration. This is where the broad fork comes in, and it's one of the most underappreciated tools in gardening. A broad fork is a...
All I do is get that weed eater. I weed eat it. You don't pull it out, and you just put your seeds right in, because the worms and the arthropod is going to eat the old roots. You're talking about building amazing soil. Wow. Now, when I made my little shade house from my old little broken down chicken coop and broken down greenhouse, I just made that just real quick to have a garden last spring. The plants thrived so amazingly because all of that was old, beautiful, living chicken compost and bedding. If I would have brought that soil in from somewhere else, the garden wouldn't have thrived like that. That's how important it is to build soil. Thank you very much. That's how important it is to build soil, guys. Okay? I just take the little weed eater, I weed eat it from the top, and I keep it moving. And you can get a weed eater for cheap on Amazon. Put a battery on it, weed eat, charge that battery, and keep it moving.
Two-handled tool with long steel tines, usually about 12 to 14 inches long, spaced a few inches apart across a bar that's roughly 18 to 20 inches wide. You step on the...
Another thing you can do, take you a sheep or a goat, leave them in your area of gardening before spring comes. Let them urinate, let them poop in your garden, let them eat all of your old stuff. Natural weed eaters. When they're done doing what they do, let the garden sit and rest. You can plant you some cover crop, whatever you want to do. Let them come in there and eat all of that. You got nitrogen on nitrogen. They didn't ate it down, and guess what? They're going to eat it down fast. It's time for you to plant that thing in springtime. Beautiful. This is how we're going to make it through these times and survive. So, hey, let these videos be the small amount. It'll only be that small amount of people who's paying attention. While everybody else ain't putting oil in a lamp, guess what? You can be doing it. Period.
Bar to drive the tines into the soil, then rock the handles back towards you. That's it. No engine, no fuel, no noise. Just you and leverage. Here's what makes this different from tilling. When you use a broad fork, you're lifting and loosening the soil without flipping it over. The layers stay in place. The top layer of soil, which is where most of the biological activity happens, stays on top.
You said You said, what's a good video of yours for beginners? Well, I don't trust every gardener on YouTube, so I believe that you can watch the video that I put, Back to Eden Gardening. Look at that whole documentary. You will get positively inspired. It's beautiful. And, you know, I mean, listen, the basic thing for gardening is put a hole in the ground, you know, and put the seed in there, water it, be patient. If you see some pest or something coming on it, get you a little garlic oil off a line, mix it with some water, a little dish soap, spray it with a spray bottle or a sprayer or some mint. It's so many different things. Or peppers, you know, like hot peppers, soak it in water, use that water to spray. It's so many different things. You can use neem, but sometimes that gets rid of the beneficial bugs. So I put shea butter on. It be bees trying to come all on me because they smell that shea butter. So I need to feed them tomorrow. But yeah, brother Cedric Lewis, I would type in Back to Eden Gardening. And then you can also just Google or YouTube gardening for beginners. You definitely want to know how to garden, my brother. I almost gave up a long time ago, but I said I have to be able to garden for my family and my children. Last but not least, if I felt like I could never do it, I would save a little money, put a little money to the side, hire somebody to come and do it for me. Issachar, they are very good at gardening because they are in a very fruitful land. A lot of people are hiring Issachar around here, and Issachar don't mind. They would have that garden. They enjoy it. They would have that thing on point. You know what I mean? Straight up.
Deeper layers, which have their own distinct communities of organisms.
And I know you love to see the garden broadcast, but a lot of the church seems to want to just be deep. They want to just see end time prophecy, not knowing it's these little things like this that gets us through the end time prophecy. Sticking together, learning one another, getting to know one another, putting up with one another, barter, learn to barter. You know, eventually down the line, hopefully we can barter, have businesses with one, whatever the case may be. But these things are going to be important. They're going to be very important. And let me tell you, I'm not forcing nobody for forcing the importance on anybody. I'm just, for those who have ears, let them hear. But when there's no food, I pray that they're not like Lamentations chapter 4. Because they want to be deep. It's like, okay, you getting deep precepts. But why you're not getting deep in that garden to feed yourself? Because you think the elders is going to feed you the food. The elders' job is to preach the gospel. The elders love the people so much, they're going to do whatever they can and do the best they can. But at the same time, this is not a one-man job. The kingdom is ours. The kingdom comes not by observation. People just want to get to the wilderness, and that's it. There's things to be done along the way before we get to that point. And Christ said we have to pick the plow up. And this is a part of, it's a spiritual plow, and this is also a physical plow. This is how food comes, guys. If the market shut down, if things don't come, having seeds, you can't just store your seeds. They will go bad. You have to plant those seeds so you can get new seeds. When you see your plant bolting, seeds are coming. Save those seeds. You can sell those seeds. You can replant those seeds. Okay? Yeah, we barter, but if you have nothing to offer, then you lost. Yeah, they got some precepts. That's about it. You can't eat precepts. Even though spiritually you can eat that roll, meaning you take part of the gospel, you start to walk in it. But physically, you can't eat the pages on the Bible. Do you have skills at hunting? It's a dangerous job to hunt. It's a skill to hunt. There's hogs outside that it's dangerous. And some people go hunting just like they go fishing. They come back with nothing. It's not easy every time. We got to be practicing things like this. We got to see what we're good at. Right? This is a serious situation going on right here. I mean, let me tell you, I take it serious personally, and you know, I feel good when I wake up. I run, I exercise, I eat healthy. I don't care about what's going on out there in the world. I know what it takes to live and endure. It's taking care of this body. It's keeping peace. It's keeping stress away. Keeping the work up. Okay.
Stay where they belong. You're opening up air channels and breaking through compaction without destroying the finished compost right on the soil surface. And the practical result is a soil that gets better.
All right, so
is hard to beat. It grows.
Okay, so we got the point with this. Right? We got the point with this, but that's it for tonight. I will go into some other things probably next week because the Passover is coming very soon. The World War II bread that quietly saved lives and why we were told to forget it. Okay. During the Depression. So I'm going to stay on this topic for a little bit of the importance of where we are right now and how important it is. I'm going to try to drive it home for those who need to hear it and how important it is, because as we see, it was written in the scriptures of how people didn't prepare and they were eating their own children. This is what, hey, we can do this, guys. We can do this. We can do it. All right. So, I mean, it's pretty late to open up the lines, but if you want me to open up the lines, I'm going to open them up for about 10 minutes. It's 10:37 here in Texas. I'll open the lines up for 10 minutes. We had someone ask, I don't know if the person who asked earlier is still on, but we will open up the lines and let's keep it on this topic. 979-398-5875. Okay. What are you doing? Do you have any questions on gardening? Okay. Now, don't tell anybody what you're doing personally, so people not trying to run up to your zone like the Homestead movie. This is not the time to put every little thing out personally. Okay, not every little thing. Inspirational things. But not telling people, man, I'm saving this much grain. Like, that's not people's business. Okay. So we have a caller already. We have a 307 caller. What's your name? Juno Wish, okay, or Akif. All praises. How you doing, my brother? Yeah. So, what you have a comment or you have a question? Okay. Okay. One moment. Let me make sure that the people can actually hear you really quick. Cause sometime, give me one moment. See, yeah, I knew they said that. They said we can't hear the caller. Sometime this thing flicks around on me. Let me fix this really quick for the people. They should be able to hear you now. Let me see. I don't know why it does this. Sometime it just has a glitch in it. And let me see. Say something. Say something. I don't know what is going on with this. But they definitely should be able to hear you. 1 second. I'm sorry, my brother. I apologize. It does this from time to time. Yeah. Let's see here. I don't know why I don't. Oh. Okay. Alrighty, let's see. Hold on, people out there. We're gonna try to make sure. Yeah, we got that right. We got the external headphones. Yep. All right, I'm gonna try this. And we should hopefully be good. Alrighty, let's try it again. Exit full screen. So, say something again. What is going on? What is going on tonight? Father, have mercy. All right, go ahead. Say what you're going to say. Go ahead. Say what you're going to say. while I'm trying to fix this. Go ahead. I apologize. Okay. Okay. Where would I start?
I wanted like 4 goats, maybe 2 cows, and I already got 22 chickens. But hearing you speak earlier about the goats and making sure they got certain nutrients, I'm like, I don't want to jump into it, buy a goat, and then now I can't take care of the goat.
Yeah, the goats, it's okay to have them. There's nothing wrong with having goats. The main thing with the goats is giving them a great environment, and making sure you get them from a good place, getting you a good breed. If you want meat goats, you have meat goats like what are the name of the meat goats? We have somebody out there who has meat goats. What's those meat goats? It's a name for them. Just look up meat goats and they'll tell you the kind. I can't remember right now. My brain got dropped. And then you have the milk goats, which are the Nubian goats. Okay, what do you call those meat goats? So you got to know which ones you want for meat. The milk goats don't have that much meat on them, but the meat goats, it's a certain name for that breed. But you'll see it. There you go, Boer. Thank you so much, Boer and Kiko. I didn't know about Kiko, Humble Servants Homestead, but I knew about Boer. She said Boer. I really like Boer because they can't really jump around and get out that easy. But them Nubian goats be having them hops. But it's really deworming them. And if you have a good area where you don't have parasites all in the grass and stuff like that, you should be good. But they're not that expensive if you invest in a really good male, get you some females, and just kind of pay attention to them. And really, you're going to learn a lot. Just ask a lot of questions, go on the forums or whatever the case may be. But I personally like sheep better. But it's nothing wrong with starting with goats and small animals at all.
Would you mix milk and meat goats together, or would you keep them separate?
Some people do. It's not unlawful at all. But the Boer goats are really thick goats, and they really are really good for meat. And they're bred that way for a purpose. And they're heavy, so they, like I said, they're really not trying to get out. They're bred to be big. You can do that though. They have some people that have goats that are good for milk and meat. So it's pretty much by choice. But like I said, you just have to do what's best for you. But I wouldn't do it. I would actually keep my milk goats separate, because those Nubians are really, really good for having babies. They're good nurturers. I'm not saying the Boers are not, but they're definitely really good for me. I would separate them personally, but it just depends on your situation, because I've met a lot of different shepherds and they all do things differently. And I pray that somebody can call in and give a little bit more information on what they've done and from their experience. And we will be talking about this also again next week. Some things. So it's if you think of some other questions, you can also still call in next week if we haven't answered it tonight. But go ahead.
Now, I have more questions, but I wanted to, like, if possible, at some point, if I can talk to you.
Yeah, that's fine. Just email me. Just email me at elderrawchaa@gmail.com. That's elder AHRAYA@gmail.com, and then I can give you a call. AHRAYA@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we can get more in depth or whatever. No problem.
You down higher.
Are you out there with Elder Dale? Are you close to Elder Dale out there?
No, I was in Detroit, with Elder in the congregation from like 2017 to 2019.
Okay.
And then I left and came out here.
Oh, and where you at now again? I apologize. I don't remember.
It's okay, Wyoming.
Oh, Wyoming. We don't have a church out there, do we?
No.
Okay.
I got work to do.
Okay. Oh, praises.
It's time.
Okay. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for calling in tonight.
Shalom.
All right, now.
Peace, grace, and mercy to the saints.
All praises. All right, Shalom. Thank you for calling in. Shalom. Okay. So the brother's trying to get it started. Okay, if we have some more people who want to call in and ask some questions, we'll give it about 5 more minutes. But hey, people is trying to get this thing started, and that's what it's about. People is trying to get this thing started. I'm going to show you a few things I've been doing on this land. Hey, a few challenges that I've been having. They always come with challenges. I mean, one of my sheep, man, she's ready to drop those babies, and we were worried. We like, is she gonna drop them after Passover? Before we pray, we don't have to bottle feed them. Lord have mercy. So it's one of those. It's one of those things there. Oh man, I didn't. Let me get this chat back up real quick. Give me one moment. Let me get this chat back up real quick. Something went wrong. Let me get this chat back up really quick.
Imagine being able to build.
Sorry about that. Let me get this chat back up really quick. Got that. All right, we back in the game. We are back in the game. So once again, if y'all want to call in, go ahead and call in. I'm glad Sister Lanisa Terry told me to actually take those headphones out, because we could not hear those callers. I don't know what happened. Like, everything is set up correctly, but we could not hear those callers. So I may have to start doing a Zoom thing here. But let me show you guys really quick what I've been doing on the homestead. Like I said, we're only going to be on here 5 more minutes, just waiting for, Let me show you what I've been doing here. It's just some shorts. Okay. Let me show you what I've been doing here. The dang on cow, my cow done got out, and when you get these cows that's all over the place, you have to do what you have to do. So we out here learning and getting better and better. Sometimes you get bad genetics. No, you know what? You stay with me in case I need it. Put these back on real quick. There you go. That's y'all elder. Tug of war with the bull, man. Bull like to get out to the neighbors sometimes. Children are seeing such valuable things. This is what's important. They're learning self-sufficiency and survival. Don't worry about it. Let me tell you, these are 800 to 1,000 pound animals, guys. You know, with these animals, the small bulls get up to like 600 to 1,000 pounds, 900 pounds on average.
We got the bull back. It's windy out here.
But then when you get with the big ones, man, you're going to be dealing with like 1,200 and up.
And I got faith that I was going to get them back just with a little feed. I put that rope around that bucket. Let me tell you how I did. Let me see that bucket. See? You got to use a little wisdom. Oh. I put that around that bucket. Slid it, put that boy face in there. Slid him on there. Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding.
Listen, I was so grateful to the Most High because he had been over there for a week, man, and you know what I mean?
Watch this. Woo-hoo! 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 That's the code for the food. Woo-hoo! That's the code for the food. Woo-hoo! Watch out, sir.
It's just a little snack.
That's the code for the food. Woo-hoo!
There go Cotton right there. That's Cotton. They be trying to bully her. So I'm finna see who gonna drop them babies.
Watch yourself.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing. You know, that's what I've been doing. Really, oh, look at this one. Guys, the bull had got back out in the same night. And I said, Lord have mercy. I'm trying to get him in the pen. I was trying to finish the pen up and put the electric wire around there. It was so, let me tell you, I said, no, we got to get this bull back. It's time. I mean, it's time for some hamburgers. It's time for some freezer work. I mean, listen, when you got bad genetics, you either take them back and sell them or you got to put them in the freezer. It's just learning. Like, unfortunately, this is what it is. You don't always have to have a bull. You can also get them inseminated from the vet. And sometimes you pay a little less money as long as you got a good squeeze pen or you can take them there. So, but I mean, or you can turn them into steers so they won't be so aggressive. But I really want a big, huge type of prize bull to, you know, to mate with mine. So it all depends, you know what I mean, what I'm going to do. But he got out again, man, and we end up using the same trick. Thank the Most High to get him back. And guys, it can be dangerous if you're not safe, but I know my animals. That part I do. I do know my animals, so. Now look what the girls are learning. Look what my daughters are learning and what I'm teaching them, that things do not come easy in life. And sometimes, you know, you can give these animals everything you want to give them and they will still think that the grass is greener on the other side. Sometimes that's just how life is. You give them everything they need. They got hay, they got pasture. He got females over here to mate with, like heifers. And, you know, some people could say, well, he went on the other side. This barbed wire first that they have to go through, by the way. Barbed wire, they'll just go right through it. The other heifers for the neighbor that he went to the side, they already made it. So why you want to go over there where there's a bunch of dudes over there and chill with dudes? Nah, brother. So, I mean, you know, I don't work out just to look good, guys. I work out to be practical. And that's the thing. Like, I'm grateful that I'm able to still not be injured anymore from all my injuries and be able to work out and still be able to make this realistic to make it in this time. Now, if I'm wrestling an 800-pound animal, 300-pound heifers every day, I think the Most High gave me a little experience and a little bravery to do this in the dark and all that. Like, it's not been easy, but, you know, we have to do what we have to do to survive. So, let me tell you, and I'm probably not the only one. Texas, this is a normal thing with Texas, but we have to learn one day to get this experience with each other. Who's going to have our back? If you got some people afraid of worms, you know, then, I mean, hey, let me tell you, I had to face this fear with a dang on bull and things that I'm not used of. So now we're not in the hood. We have to see what our forefathers were dealing with. The Levites dealing with animals every day, and we dealing with these things that we were slaughtering every day. We're going to have to get back to those ways we are and just slowly transition to it. And guess what? Maybe everybody can't do it, but we're going to have somebody that's able to do it. So let's forget all this other stupidity, vanity out here in this world, and let's focus on where things are going. Right?
Listen, we got him back in, and I hope he stay in safe tonight.
I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm going to tell y'all something before we get off of here. I was not an expert when I started to homestead. But I said, let me stay home instead. And, no pun intended, and learn all of these things. Learn how to eat off the land. Learn how to grow off the land. Man, I didn't know how to pull no trailer. When you first get a trailer and learn how to, you start pulling that trailer, and then you be like, man, how you work this thing? How you do this thing? Man, but Jake, we smart. When we put our mind to it, we get to it. Let me tell you, pulling that trailer, I was like, how do they do this? Before you know it, you do it long enough, you whipping and dipping in that thing, and you get it. And I'm very grateful and appreciative for all of these learning lessons. And I'm gonna tell you, catching possums in a cage and all of this stuff. Let me tell you guys, when they try to get under my mobile home, you put the little trap together. I'm like, how you work this thing? But Jake, we gonna figure it out. And that's the main thing. We might not want to be wasting time and trying to learn things that we don't know. I said, man, the chicks that I had, the little chickens. I went to go buy some chickens from Tractor Supply not too long ago. And then I have a wild chicken. She's a broody hen, and she lays on her chicks. She was laying under like a chair that I had like a little linen stuff on my tent over, and I'm like, she's laying on eggs and eggs is hatching. I said, okay, because I didn't want my electric bill was going up from this heat lamp. I'm like, forget this dang old heat lamp. How was they doing it back then? And it's not wrong with a heat lamp if you can afford the electricity. I can afford it, but I didn't want to pay it. So they said get a broody hen, or like, you got to be like 90 degrees for a while. Man, I took them chicks with that hen, and I put the chicks up off from Tractor Supply with her chicks, and she spread her wings, and she covered them and kept them warm, and I'm good. No electricity, no none of that. So it's like I'm breeding that type of hen and those type of chickens now that will be wild and kind of still know how to produce without me having to do some type of my mind is stuck right now, but what do you call that? Y'all know what I'm saying. When you have to hatch the chickens yourself, what is that called again? That little mechanism thing? Man, I'm getting tired. Anyway, but I wanted nature to do it. So me and Yarack was talking about this last year when we had these little chicks, and some of them are going to die. Some of them are going to get eaten. But this year, you understand, I did it a different way, and I'm just learning and just trying to adapt. That what if you don't have this? What if you don't have that? What could you do? Incubator. Thank you, sis. I'm sorry. I'm getting so tired. The incubator. Of course I know what an incubator is, but I hate using an incubator. So I said, listen, let the chickens be the incubator. So yeah, man, like it's just amazing. You just constantly learn and you evolve. So, but I thank you guys for your time. And I'm going to get off of here. I got a lot of work to do tomorrow. And I pray that you guys have learned from tonight, and that you think positive and have courage and have confidence in yourself, and just start somewhere and just build from there. And all the little things I said, hey, let's think about trade and bartering and who can help. And if you don't want to do it, hey, you got the money to pay. You're going to have something to be able to make it in this time where we have all things common one day. So let's get that practice on right now. Let's not have fear of what's going on over there. We still got a little time, but it's definitely the start of something big, because our kingdom is almost here. All right. So I'm Elder Rawchaa. Don't forget to subscribe to the Hebrew and Bible Academy on historytimes.org. Okay, let me type that in for you. I already got it on my bookmark. Historytimes.org is where you can enroll in our Hebrew and Bible Academy, where you can learn some powerful things, especially in this time. You definitely don't want to miss this time, because the Most High is going to be revealing and showing things of what we need to do and all that, and the understanding to get through this thing. Okay, so I think I made a mistake one day and said it's $150 a month. It's actually $50 a month. That was just, I knew that. I just spoke fast. Okay, so it's $50 a month. It's $150 for 3 months. Small price to ask for so much work that goes in, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that you're going to get for you and your family. Okay, so make sure you check that out. All right, get your Sunday morning dose where they teaching Hebrew, cold news that you can't speak on YouTube, so so our YouTube don't get shut down and we don't get shadow banned. Okay, make sure you check that out, and you're getting these powerful, beautiful lessons, powerful PDFs, so much information. I mean, man, you don't want to miss it. Okay, it's the Hebrew and Bible Academy. All right. And you already know, if you want to get healthy, go to KIIY supplements.com. That's Kingdom is in You supplements.com. Or you can just go to Lion's Homestead if you want to get some other stuff for you, your animals, your farm, whatever the case may be. Peace and blessings to you all and your families. And I hope to see you all with a beautiful spirit at Passover. Let's not let anything take our spirit of peace for the brother, and how beautiful it is for the brothers to dwell together in unity. Let's not forget that at the Passover, okay? This is what we're going to the Passover for. We want a beautiful, every Passover I've been to, regardless of whatever the case may be, it's always been beautiful and peaceful and love.